Streaming via OBS, not via YouTube. Oh, yes, via YouTube. Oh, shit. Okay, that was an accident.
Oh, are we live?
We're live,
wow.
we're live. Hello, everyone.
Oi, oi.
Hello. Welcome to another Fantasy Haven light stream. I've already fucked it up. It's the first few seconds, and I just swore in the first few seconds too, which means this entire thing has been demonetized. God damn it. And I said damn it, and apparently damn is a demonetizable word because Americans are insane and think that damn is a curse.
Oh, but, what? Really?
Oh well. Anyway, this is demonetized, so if you want to help support the channel after this chaos, feel free to send in super chats via YouTube, or if you go into the description, there should be a link to Streamlabs. If you send in a Streamlab donation, 100% of that goes to me, compared to if you do a YouTube super chat where YouTube takes a cut. So either way is super helpful, but the Streamlabs donation is a better option. At the very end of the video, I will be both of us will be reading out the super chats and the donations. So not throughout the live stream, but at the end of the live stream, so that we don't get distracted.
I am taking him for all he's worth currently, so it is important to be able to support him financially.
Yeah, the divorce settlement isn't going great. What was the bet we made on
being a lawyer gives an advantage?
Fucking Saul Goodman. What was the bet that we made in the episode predictions live stream on your channel?
Oh, it was that if we don't see the cannibal this season, then the divorce is final.
You've got 2 episodes left, boy.
We have 2 episodes. It'll be next episode if it's anything.
We haven't even seen Silverwing. You think we're going to see the cannibal? Okay. We've
seen her on a stamp.
This is chaos. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Yes, this is live stream. I'm Fantasy Haven. This is the one and only Quinn the GM. Say hello, Quinn.
Hi, it's me, Quinn. Hello.
Awesome stuff. Another episode discussion. We alternate between channels, doing prediction live streams and episode discussion live streams, and so on and so forth. You know all this stuff. We'll be breaking down episode 6, known as Small Folk. A bit of a boring title, I do have to admit.
I was going to say, I don't like that title.
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
Dragon Seeds might have been better.
I think Stefan Darklin is Alive, A Song of Ice and Fire Theory would have been a better title.
I concur.
Anyway,
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. What did you think of the episode, Quinn? Let's move on.
So I think it's interesting to me. I think that it feels a lot like last episode to me in terms of my opinion on it, but a couple fantastic scenes pull it up above it. Last week, I think I gave the episode like a 6.5 or a 6. I'd give this one a solid 8. It's pretty much the middle of the season for me. I think there were scenes that were weaker. I think there were a few scenes that were way stronger that I'm sure we'll discuss. But it was a weird mixed bag. And also there were some CGI elements that I thought weren't the greatest. But I don't know. Given how amazing Rook's Rest looked, I was kind of okay with that. But what were your thoughts?
I'm also an 8 for this. I'm a high 8, so I thought the previous episode was a low 8. This is a high 8. Lots of really good, solid scenes, a couple of standouts, and there were only 3 specific things I disliked. That didn't include the CGI. I'm not entirely sure where you're coming from in that regard. I had no issues with the CGI, but you'll have to let me know.
I'll get to it.
The 3 things I had an issue with: ADR in one scene, one specific line that Allison said that kind of was a case of telling and not showing, which I wasn't a fan of, and the big moment that everyone's memeing at the moment, which is the kiss at the end of the episode. I didn't like that at all, mostly because I'm a virulent, violent homophobe, but also there are some story reasons as well.
You're review bombing it.
Yeah, that was all me. That I made like 5 million accounts. I've been busy all day. That's why
we were late. Actually,
that's why we were late. I was review bombing the episode. Okay, so reminder, because we've got a super chat in, thank you so much. We'll be reading them out at the end, super chats and Streamlabs donations, just so that we can have a nice flow. So I think we should begin. So straight off the bat, before the episode even officially starts, we see an update.
Breaking news.
An update to the tapestry. Oh, you were gonna reference the meme I had of the... Yeah,
I was kidding. Yeah, there is an update to the tapestry as well.
There is, and in usual Canva fashion, we'll have to wait for it to fucking appear on screen. Because there we go. So yes, so that's nice. We have the rat catchers, and we have Jaehaerys' death, and then we have what the show is putting forward as the next major pivotal moment that will be weaved into the tapestries. to be seen by generations in the future. That is the Battle of Rook's Rest with Sunfire, gold and pink, Melees, and the flying above is Vhagar, and there are burning buildings and so on. What do you? What's going on with that? Who's the guy holding a sword above his head?
Link, I assume. I don't know. It looks like Zelda stuff. Kristen, maybe. I don't know. Nobody really had their sword out in this episode, other than like Aemon who's about to kill his brother.
See, my guess is Kristen, because it looks like there's white armor maybe, but also it looks like someone with a big white beard. So I don't really. Is it Aemon?
Barristan Selmy.
Barristan, welcome back, Arstan Whitebeard. No, is it like it's either Aemon, as in haha victorious, or it's meant to be Kristen, like the Kingmaker?
It's my thought is Kristen because we see Vhagar flying, and we've not seen Vhagar fly without Aemon since he claimed her.
Someone in the chat mentioned that it could be Aegon because of propaganda, because in the previous episode they're saying that Aegon killed Caraxes, so that could just represent his victory.
Caraxes?
Melees. They're both red. Just one of them has a sexy neck and the other one doesn't. Long neck.
True.
The words of Tyrion Lannister. But yeah, honestly, I'm really enjoying these major events being updated in the tapestry. Like it genuinely gives me like chills when I watch it, where the music's soaring and like a new huge cataclysmic moment is captured, and I'm like, oh, it's really cool. Like, oh, I love that stuff. Such a good idea.
Yeah.
Such a cool idea for the intro.
And I love the consistency of it too. They've updated it every even numbered episode so far, so we know we'll see our last update in the finale, which is really neat.
Yeah, that does make sense, and I'm excited for that for sure. So moving on. Are we moving on? Do I need to?
We are moving on.
Have we moved on? Canva is so
I
fucking
have.
annoying. Okay, right. I really need to change the slide as soon as possible. Then that's what I've learned. Okay, so yeah, we see the first appearance of Jason Lannister this series.
That armor is incredible.
That is some. Can we shout out the horse armor? Look at the lion face on the horse's forehead. That's so fucking funny.
That is an underrated element of the costuming this season. The horse armor has all been incredible.
Ryan Conwood, clearly a Tyrek fan. He's giving love to the steeds.
True.
And Jason's helmet.
Lions here? Did I miss that?
Say that again, sorry?
I saw on Twitter, I might have missed, does he have lions with him in those cages? Is that what that was?
He does. He's got live lions in cages. Don't ask me why.
Who's going to die by that?
Jason, hopefully. That would be fine. No, I don't are they? Is it meant to be like entertainment for the road, for the march, towards Harrenhal?
Weapons of war.
Is it meant to be Lines of War to be released on the battlefield? Like, I genuinely, is it just a propaganda thing? Like,
I don't know. This does. I will say, with seeing the lions, it's a little bit of a Chekhov's lion for me. I feel like it's more likely now that this could be the other battle we see this season, but who knows?
Cersei didn't get her elephants, but we will get our lions. Lions on the battlefield, wreaking havoc. That would be so strange to me if they just released lions and hoped that they attacked the other side and didn't just eat them. Maybe it's meant to be like kind of, compensating for like Targaryens have dragons, and Jason's like, I'm gonna ride a lion into battle. I'm gonna ride my sigil.
I think you should.
Someone in the chat is saying they could just be his pets. It could be that simple. He's just like the classic eccentric billionaire who just has like a pet fucking tiger and lion because why not?
That's fair. Were they male lions or female lions? Because male lions don't really do much in terms of hunting or combat.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. I can't remember if they had a mane or not. But yeah, if they are male lions, you open the gate, they're just going to walk out and then like...
They're just going to fucking nap.
They're just going to curl up on the battlefield and start snoring. Like, god damn it. So yes, Jason...
When a Pokemon is too high level and doesn't listen to you.
So Jason has not aged in 2 decades, like most of the characters. I do like how Jefferson Hall holds him differently, right? He's just way more smug and cocky, just a completely different vibe to Thailand, which I really enjoy. They are quite just... I don't see them as the same actor playing... I always see it as like 2 different characters. which is a testament to his acting. And it's cool. This is the first appearance of House Lefford in the HBO universe.
Yeah, I of course remember everything that House Lefford has done in the main series.
Such as be called House Lefford and have a shit sigil. I can't remember what tier I put it in my live stream, but it wasn't very high, trust me.
Oh, that's why you remember it.
That's why I remember House Lefford.
The sigil's not great looking at it.
The sigil is a golden pyramid on blue. And I didn't understand why. And I remember being like, why is their sigil a pyramid? And then the whole chat was screaming at me like, it's a tooth, you fucking idiot. They're from the golden tooth. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, they got...
I have a very important question for you, Mr. Late Lord Haven. Mm-hmm. Would 100 dragons beat 1 billion lions?
1 billion lionesses, yes. 1 billion male lions, no. They'll just sleep.
That has confirmed these were male lions.
Well, in that case, the dragons win. The dragons
agree.
win. It would be like shooting fish in a barrel. But yes, so Tyland and his forces are, marching over to the Golden Tooth because it is the major fortification between the Westlands and the Riverlands, and they're meeting up with the Lefford host. But they are saying, Jason's saying, well, I'm not going to march into the Riverlands where Caraxes is without a dragon of mine own defending me. So I'm just going to chill here, little hotel, Hotel Trivago, Premier Inn. If you're from the UK, shout out to Premier Inn, shout out to Lenny Henry. Yeah, which is interesting because obviously, actually, I guess, do you have anything more to say about this specific scene?
I have one little additional tidbit. What do you think of the music here? You hear anything in there? You hear a little sprinkle?
I noticed a cheeky little Reigns of Castamere motif.
A little 250 years before it happens, but they're not 250.
We can allow it. We can allow it.
I can't allow it.
But yeah, and Aemond is in a precarious situation here because he crippled Sunfire, getting revenge, getting more power, or an accident, whatever, however you want to interpret it. Definitely not an accident. But but because he crippled Sunfire, and Dreamfire isn't going to be ridden by Helena at all, and Tessarion, before this episode, was not of flying age, right? Wait, no, isn't even in this episode, or is it?
It's next episode.
Next episode, that's the promo for next episode, my apologies. So Tessarion isn't even big enough to fly, right? So the only dragon Team Green has is Vhagar, and Vhagar has to operate simultaneously as the defense of King's Landing and also an offensive beast. So if Aemond is like, yes, I will go and help Lord Lannister in the Riverlands, King's Landing is exposed. So it's just Vhagar. Vhagar's the only dragon on Team Green that's actually capable of fighting right now. So I do understand why Aemond is like, has a lot to mull over, and also he's furious at being at the arrogance of Lord Jason summoning him.
I'm surprised that no one has talked to Helena about hey, you have a very big dragon. Do you want to help out a little bit? I don't know.
Yeah, I would have liked one scene of someone addressing it, even if they just say, obviously Helena's not going to ride a dragon, even before Jaehaerys' death she wasn't going to, and she's even less likely to now. But yeah, I do agree, we should have something where they're like, are you able to do this, Helena? And she's just going to be like...
We saw her ride Dreamfire to Driftmark in Season 1, Episode 7. I mean, we didn't see her do it, it was from a distance, but we also, I don't know, Helena's not really in the same state she was in the book. In the book, Helena is gone mad with grief, inconsolable, and just a completely changed woman. It's that loss that essentially renders her pretty much a moot point in this war. Whereas she seems to have been sad about it in the show, but not to the same bar, it seems.
Yeah, for sure. And whoa. What is going on with my cursor? My cursor went really weird there. I'm not sure if anyone can actually see my cursor on stream. Can you see the cursor?
Yes, you can.
Okay, did you see it just spaz out there and go all over the place?
Yes.
Okay, well, I apologize for that. Is it gone now?
Yeah, it's gone.
Beautiful. Okay, my bad. So I tried to post a poll in the live chat. I'm not sure if it's there.
It did work.
It worked. Okay, yes. Everyone, if you're interested in answering the poll, the question is, who would win 1 billion lions or the sun Fire.
That's a lot of lions.
That's a lot of lions. So the reason I put rages in bad ADR, did you notice this?
I did not. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, right. So when I first watched this, I didn't notice it. And then I saw someone mention it on Twitter and I thought, was there ADR problems? And so obviously I went to listen to this again. And oh my God, it is some of like the most, like some of the worst ADR I've ever heard in like in something of this level, like of
Really?
this big of a budget.
What was added? What was the?
I actually don't think new lines of dialogue are added. I think it's just him. It's the actor saying his lines over a scene that was already recorded. So clearly, maybe his voice wasn't right or it wasn't picked up properly or something. Because like, there's one, and it's like being his lines are clearly being like awkwardly edited together, and there's one specific bit where he talks about being summoned like a dog, and you can literally hear between the word a and dog, there's like, you can hear the clip sound. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but like if you re-listen to this scene, it's like ridiculous how obvious the ADR is. The second time I watched it, I was like, what? It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I did like that one line though. The like whistled up like a dog, being that he's just copying what Boros Baratheon said last season.
That is these arrogant Green Lords are just like, yeah. It was fun seeing Aemon show some more, show some more anger. You know, if the first half of this season on Team Green was like Aegon's time to shine, this is Aemon's time to shine, and he's really taking over, being ruthless, being authoritative, and just showing more like frustration, right? And then at the end of this scene, he just flat out bans. He kicks Alicent off the council.
Yeah, there was a point where I thought he was going to throw the ball at Larys in a later scene.
Can you imagine? Well, he would have got the fucking Beesbury treatment. Rest in peace. Oh, we'll talk about the Beesburys later, actually. Okay.
We will.
If you could, maybe talk a bit more about Aemond firing Alicent, stripping her of the last vestiges of her power, just because my cursor has genuinely vanished off the screen, so I might plug and unplug my mouse again.
Yeah, I was worried about Alicent as a character going into this season, because there really isn't a lot that happens to her in the book. She just kind of like stays the course and doesn't really do anything for the entire time. But here, her arc being essentially starting off in this precarious position, and then from there just having everything stripped away, first losing her main ally in Otto, then her son getting hurt, now getting kicked off the council by her other son. It very much talks of her like kind of being impaled upon her own sword. I've seen people on Twitter saying that like, oh, she supported this system, she deserves it. I don't think that's necessarily true. She's not necessarily responsible for the system. If I blame anyone for it, I blame Otto in the way that he raised her. But I feel like it's just a very interesting place to find her, and we have seen that in next episode she'll be taking that little walk to the lake. But that'll be interesting to see. A little Kendall Roy moment.
Yeah, while it is certainly a consequence of poor parentage on behalf of Otto and generational trauma and so on, she does bear the brunt of some responsibility in terms of how she raised her children, and that is, those issues are now coming home to roost for her. Right, the poor way in which she's mothered her children is coming home to roost, and she is realizing it, and she's facing the consequences of that, and the narrative isn't letting her get away from that, which I really do appreciate.
Yeah, but I see we have moved on to our new account of Princess Ariana the Large of House Targaryen.
Yes, probably one of the most interesting princesses that George has come up with.
Yes, I'm a big fan of her backstory.
Don't make me talk about page 101 of Fire and Blood or the Ariana scene. You kidding me?
So, this scene features Stefan Darkland getting his ancestry DNA results back in the mail. But what did you think of this?
Right, so the biggest thing that stood out to me was, who the fuck is Ariana and why is she a princess? So the name isn't relevant, right? Like it's whatever. But yeah, why is his grandmother's grandmother a Targaryen princess we've never heard of? Like, presumably, I'm willing. Okay, I'm willing to accept that. Yeah, Steffon Darklin's great 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 grandmother or whatever was a Targaryen lady who lived on Dragonstone, right? Because the Targaryens fled to Dragonstone and they lived there for quite a while before the conquest. So why are they? Why a princess? Why is she being called a princess? That feels very. This feels like a Gendry Rivers in season 8. Like it's a really obvious continuity error, and I don't know how like a team of law nuts would let that slide. Like, did no one say it's not a princess? It wouldn't be a princess.
I think it might actually be that's not what I was having an issue with this, the title princess specifically, because if we're thinking about this, grandmother's grandmother, that's pre-conquest, and pre-conquest, everybody was a king. Any lord, any high lord was a king. I think that, I don't know, the Targaryens could have styled themselves the kings of Dragonstone or something.
But yeah, I guess, yeah. From what we understand, they were considered lords of Dragonstone. They weren't self-styled kings. So I just thought the use of princess just felt like a kind of a weird addition, and also like the maths doesn't really add up, does it?
The main thing for me is that we have at least semi-detailed family tree of this, and based on the timeline, I would guess it would be, I'd say the generation just before Aegon the Conqueror, and I think that if he had a significant aunt, we probably would have heard about it, especially in like his actual conquest. That would have mentioned some blood ties, as the only houses that have blood ties to Targaryens are pretty explicitly mentioned, being Baratheon, Valerion, maybe Celtigar, if I recall, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's just kind of odd to me. But yeah, the point of this scene, of course, is that the only Steffon Darklin. I'll move on to the next slide. And this happens in Fire and Blood as well. He offers himself. Well, no, sorry. In Fire and Blood, he offers himself to claim a dragon. In the show, he's basically commanded by Rhaenyra. And honestly, part of me wishes that Steffon wasn't so gung-ho about it. Like, obviously he's a noble knight and he would do it as he's told, but I think I would have preferred to show the desperate nature of Rhaenyra's situation. You motherfucker. the desperate nature. Now that is an alternate universe fanfic if I've ever seen one.
Rhaenyra's she's really making new friends this episode.
My goodness. We were robbed of the Rhaenyra Steffon Darklin snogging scene. That must have been on the cutting room floor.
That's like my fanfic.
But yes, he was. Yeah, I kind of wish he was a bit more reticent, and so it was a lot more of a risky, darker decision, and Rhaenyra had to face the consequences of that, and kind of, eventually double down and be like, we have to do this, even though it's horrible. But even so, no. So I
the slide has moved for the people.
Say that again, sorry.
The slide has not moved. I don't think on stream.
The slide hasn't moved. Oh, I'm so sorry, people. Oh, we had a whole thing. We did a whole bit where.
People didn't even see that. They didn't know what we were saying.
Oh my god. Okay. This Canva is so. Just change the slide when I change the slide. I don't understand it. But yes, it's Steffon Darklin on his knees in front of Rhaenyra, and Quinn added the words, "Will you marry me?" It was very funny, but no one saw it, so fuck me. We'll talk about the actual claiming a bit later, but yeah, this was there was a lot less sewing than I expected this episode, but I think this was. I
think that's next episode.
This was the precursor, right, Quinn? This was the precursor.
Mm-hmm. I'll talk about the thought process I have when we get to Adam later on, but it does make sense to me. It's like kind of this is testing the waters a bit.
Yeah, and there is a big question mark that I think needs to be addressed about the upcoming dragon claiming scene. But next up, we have the return of the king. The inevitable cameo, of course, Vizzy himself. We knew this was going to happen.
Laughing with your whores and your lickspittles.
Oh, the best line ever being shouted
out.
My
favorite
again.
Line.
Laughing with your whores and your lickspittles. I was like, oh, my boy's back.
Celebrate your own rise.
Celebrate your own rise. It's like midnight where I am, so I've probably woken up the neighbors. Yes, he's so good. Oh, he brings it. He brings an Emmy-worthy performance to 2 scenes in this. It's crazy.
I was gonna say, it is my conspiracy theory that I mean I'm sure we were gonna get Viserys in this either way, but I feel like this was engineered to get Patty an outstanding guest actor Emmy. which I think he earns in this episode.
Do you think we're gonna see more of Mr. Vizzy in future?
I
Or did we get our resolution when Daemon hugs him in that later scene?
I think we'll get at least one more hallucination of Viserys, probably, maybe of Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the main thing he's trying to square is this relationship with his brother.
Yeah, so sorry, I've ended the poll, by the way. I forgot that was still up. So
I did too.
The results are in. 210 people have voted. 61% believe that Sunfire would win, versus 38% who believe 1 billion lions would win. So those percentages don't even add up. But never mind. Thank you, YouTube.
It's true.
But yeah, this is a great moment, just recreating that precise moment where Daemon was officially stripped of his heirdom and banished for the first of like 5 times.
I've had a thought.
Go on.
What if the last hallucination is us finally seeing the heir for a day scene?
Ooh.
As they cut away in the first episode.
I don't think so, and I think that this vision sort of basically confirms that he did in fact say heir for a day, because it's kind of ambiguous in season 1. I think this scene implies that like Daemon did say it and he knows he said it because he's like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it could be fun.
My thought was like, it could be like him actually like he said it kind of mockingly then, and then this dream could be kind of a reflection of that with like different intonations, similarly to this scene with Viserys, where he's actually saying it kind of mournfully.
Maybe new Daemon comes up across like younger Daemon, like in Logan. Wolverine, the older Wolverine versus younger, but it's going to be Daemon and young Wolverine, and then they fight like in the movie Gemini with Will Smith, which was written by David Benioff. Apparently it's not very good, where there's a younger clone and the older one, and Daemon has a big epic fist fight, and then the people who keep complaining about Harrenhal being boring can shut up because there's action, and it's like, ah, well, yeah, no, probably not, right?
Or it's Daemon versus Wolverine.
Oh my god, don't even...
They're doing a cross promotion for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Don't even throw that out into the world, because you know that's going to happen. My goodness. So after this vision, he stumbles into Simon Strong and he basically snaps. And he's like, "Is it you, you motherfucker? Are you poisoning me? Why are you driving me insane?" And Simon's like, "Help, help me."
Yeah, poor Simon. I felt bad for him when someone else was clearly the one doing this.
Yes, that is something that's making me roll my eyes a bit. That he's like, "Have you been poisoning me?" And then later on, he talks to the literal witch who's been giving him drinks, and he's like, "Help me, please." And it's like at least one line being like, "You're probably poisoning me, aren't you?" You know, because otherwise, it does make him seem a bit.
He did say something to that effect to Alice too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, what did he say?
I think just essentially about like, "Are you poisoning me?"
Oh, I don't remember that. Okay, fair enough.
It was like early on in this conversation he has with her.
Ignore literally everything I just said in that case. But yes, and then of course we see Alice Rivers, who previously said in an episode that she's actually a barn owl, and lo and behold, random owl jump scare just leaps out and lands on her hand, and it's such a cool imagery. Just Alice Rivers standing there with her cool outfit, holding an owl, just staring Daemon down. God, that scared the shit out of me, Quinn. Again, I'm not sure if that's if the audio is going to sync up with what's happening on screen, but Quinn you're going to see it soon. Holy shit.
It did. It sunk up.
Oh my god. Anyway, what? Oh, you got me distracted now. Yes, Daemon and Alice talk. Daemon's basically leaving. He's like, "I can fight in the stepstones, I can do epic battles and political maneuvering, but I can't stand Luigi's mansion. I'm going insane. I need to leave. Everything is going wrong. My own dark psyche is being reflected back at me in my dreams. I'm banging my mum, and not even in a hot way. What am I going to do?" And then Alice is like, "Wait 3 days. Just wait 3 days and you shall see." I'm like, oh, interesting. What do you do? What the hell? Oh my god, that loaded up in the creepiest way possible. It was like flickering, and I was like, I'm terrified. Is that the same Duolingo bird that took down Aegon 2 episodes ago? After he failed,
probably
he failed his High Valyrian. Classes.
It was Alice Rivers the entire time.
Oh my god. Yeah, so this was a pretty cool scene, and we could talk a bit more about Alice Rivers later because yeah, there's a specific line that's said later on which I really enjoy. But yeah, she's turning out to be one of the most interesting new characters of this season. Actually, you know what? I think all the new characters of this season are interesting. Actually, Alice, Simon Strong, and
Ulf
Hugh, Simon Strong's sons, of course, the most interesting, the most important
fellows,
lacking all manners of gorm. And also, I don't know if you spotted this epic Easter egg that HBO put in, but in case you can't see it in the audience, I have a red circle and some red arrows so you can spot him. Caraxes is actually in the scene. We finally know where he's been chilling. He's just been sitting on.
Caraxes is in this show.
If you like squint and look at the top left, you might be able to see him.
I thought that was a weird one.
Should I make this thumbnail? Get 1 billion views.
Yes. It should be your quickie for episode 6.
That would actually genuinely quite funny. Also, just this set. Can we talk about this set? Like the Weirwood.
Oh my god.
Gorgeous.
Also, George being at that set it's just a cool place for him to have a picture.
Yeah. But I'm still holding out on George randomly being executed in front of the Weirwood because it's fun. I don't know.
That would be fun.
But yes, moving on, we have the scene where Stefan Darklyn tries to claim sea smoke. So, two main things to say about this scene for me. One, excellent, like really well done, super tense.
Yes.
The scene really breathed. It really took its time. Like Stefan, like gradually like creeping up to the dragon, shaking his boots. He's clearly fucking terrified, and why wouldn't he be? The fact that Sea Smoke actually obeyed his commands, like, okay, yes, serve, I guess, and then he's like, Sea Smoke's like, hold on, who's this like wimpy guy quaking in his boots, talking to me in like butchered High Valyrian? Go away, fuck you, I'm gonna roast you. I think
the funniest line of the season so far for me was, "I've done it."
Yeah. I will. Okay, that's a line I wasn't a huge fan of. It felt kind of a bit too.
I love that line.
It felt a bit too Hollywood for me. The kind of, haha, I made it. Oh no, I didn't. You know, he didn't need to say that. But yeah, I thought
Quentin Martell did.
Quentin Martell, he did not say, "I did it." Did he?
I mean, he thought it.
He thought it. Yeah,
he thought it, and then he said, "Oh."
Fair play. Imagine that was Stefan's last line. Just, oh. That would be a great reference, actually. If there's like
I referenced that on Twitter.
If someone tries to like claim a dragon, they just hit me.
We do need to address the fact that it's likely that it's just the oil on Stefan's armor that ignited, rather than him actually burning. So it's unclear his fate.
That is true, actually. In fact, so I don't know if you're aware, but someone's already made a video about this. If anyone's interested, feel free to look up. He's a small YouTuber called Preston Jacobs. He did a video called A Song of Ice and Fire, Stefan is Alive. And it's basically a deep dive into the idea that Stefan Darklyn survived this and will go on to be a very pivotal character in the future of the series. So check that one out. Also, one touch I really liked was the Dragon Keeper getting caught and like cutting his throat, which is clearly like something they're trained to do, right? It's like, if you end up being scorched, go out the quick way. He takes his ceremonial dagger out and cuts his throat. I was like, that's such a nice touch. Compared to Stefan Darklyn, who's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and he's like rolling in pain. I was like, I would have jumped off the fucking edge. I would have just leapt off the edge to my death at that point.
Yeah. I mean, the knife's probably quicker.
Yeah, but yeah. Also, one final thing about that scene, which is that, like, why Sea Smoke? Rhaenyra doesn't know the status of Laenor, so why would she risk sending Stefan Darklyn to...
Hear me out.
Yeah, go.
I think it was a fucking gumball machine at that point. I think that, like, they didn't know what was going to come out. They knew these 3 dragons were in these caves. We're going to sing our little song and hope one comes out. And Sea Smoke happened to come out.
But I think Rhaenyra could have been like, oh, fuck, yeah, no, not that one. Let's do this another time, you know? Like, if Rhaenyra doesn't know Laenor's status, then there's like a 50-50 chance that whoever is going to claim Sea Smoke will die because the dragon bond that doesn't sever, unless she doesn't know that, unless it's like a Wi-Fi signal, right, where it like cuts out. That's what Carmine from Red Team
She's
Review said on
also
Twitter.
Yeah, she's got the context of Sea Smoke being restless for the last like several episodes at this point.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
that might make her think that maybe something has happened to Laenor, so this could be worth a shot.
That's true. I'm sure it will be addressed, but it is weird to me that it is a bit weird to me that she doesn't know
Yeah.
his status 100% and is like, let me risk someone's death by forcing them to claim a dragon whose rider could still very well be alive.
Mm. So someone in the chat also said, I think that Silverwing would be the most chill. I generally agree with you, but I think that Silverwing is the one that Rhaena claim in the book, and failed. But I mean, I guess she's alive.
Yeah. But anyway, Silverwing is not relevant to the next slide, so let's move on. Welcome back, Balon the Brave. So this is of course, Ulf the White, the alleged bastard of Balon the Brave. He might be bullshitting, we're not 100% sure. Sorry, he's not Ulf the White in the show because his hair is not white. He's Ulf the Grey.
No.
He's Ulf the Grey.
He's having a cheeky pint.
He is having a cheeky pint in Weatherspoons. Bowl of brown. I just like this face, this fucking face he pulls. So yeah, this scene, clearly Myzari's agents are pulling strings. They're doing their work. We have Diana, who spoke to Alinda Massey, Rhaenyra's maid, last episode, and Diana is clearly in cahoots with the brothel madam, and they're both kind of setting up this routine where they're spreading anti-green propaganda and pro-Rhaenyra propaganda. And like a really cool line is mentioned later on about like where Aemon's like, why are they mad at us? Like Rhaenyra's literally blocking the gullet and causing the starvation, but they're mad at us for not being able to do anything about it. But it's like that's true to life. Like just because there are extraneous circumstances, I think I butchered that word, people will still blame the authorities currently in power. Their mindset isn't Rhaenyra did this and we're mad at her. It's you are failing to deal with this and she's only doing it because you usurped the throne anyway, right?
Yeah. I think that is very interesting, and I think I really like Masaria's plan later in this episode as well. I don't know, I think they played it very well, but it does make sense that the common people would blame Aegon, because they did go through so much work to make him seem legitimate, make it seem like he has all the trappings of power, he is the king, he is in power, so of course they're going to blame him.
Yeah, and I will say that the brothel madam, Sylvie, that's her name, right? Sylvie's little speech was not very convincing.
No, it was not.
That was very much like a theatre actress announcing, like doing a little impromptu performance to everyone. Like, let me tell you about the government, eh? Am I right? Am I right, everyone?
Do you think Ulf was in on it or no?
Excuse me, sorry. No, I did actually mean to bring up this theory in our live stream yesterday, but I forgot. That's on Quinn's channel, everyone, by the way. Predictions live stream. But I did think, because Ulf had already expressed pro Rhaenyra sentiments, I wondered if because he drinks in the same establishment as Diana, so on. I did wonder if he would be recruited, but I don't think so. This looks like he is representing like the average member of the small folk who is encountering this propaganda and being like, yeah, they're right. They're absolutely right.
I kind of read it as maybe he's in on it, but
okay.
I don't know.
I think it would be cool if he was in on it. And also, again,
I mean, he's been painted as kind of this con man already, insofar as like his first scene was kind of trying to get somebody to buy him drinks. I think this could be part of that too.
Yeah, I think I love the emphasis that they're putting on the small folk for sure. Like, this is what I wanted. I remember when we were going into season 2, I was like, yeah. So we need, people talk about Team Small Folk. It's nobles bickering and then the small folk suffer. We need to get to know them, otherwise we're not going to care. And we're already just learning more about the people on the streets, and the city of King's Landing is becoming a character in and of itself, and that's awesome. So there's this scene, which I actually quite liked a bit. I've been talking quite a bit, so do you want to take over this one?
Sure. This was, the slap on Dragonstone? I really enjoyed this. I think that it's kind of been built up to over Rhaenyra's several small council meetings over the first several episodes, and I think that she is right insofar as they don't fear her. I don't think that's necessarily her fault. I think it's more that she just really hasn't maybe it is at least to some extent her fault, but I think a lot of it is built into what they expect a ruler to be, and I think that because she doesn't fit that mold, they've had a tendency to assume that, yeah, she's the ruler, but I need to provide guidance. I can correct her much more than I would correct any other ruler, and I think that this overstepping, it is good to see that she is actually able to correct them at some point. My thought was I wish she just like punched him in the gut instead of slapped him, but what do you think?
I liked the way they handled this because it could have been very goofy. It could have been like, oh, Rhaenyra, you keep acting like a woman, and we need to start being manly, and you should let us men take over because we're better. It could mean something really dumb, but instead it's like he's being like passive aggressive and patronizing, and specifically being like, yeah, we did your thing which didn't work, and we had my idea which we should have done. Another jump scare that terrified me. Another thing we should have done my thing, which obviously is less spectacular than your thing, but so he is just being kind of, he doesn't sound like he's talking to his liege, to his
No.
monarch. He sounds like he is sort of like he's talking to his daughter basically. And Rhaenyra has a line where it's like they're seeing me as like a daughter or a mother figure and not as like the queen. So I do like that it was subtle there. And the thing is, it's not that he's necessarily saying anything that's explicitly wrong. It's more just the tone. And Rhaenyra being like, yeah, this is my fault because I have acted weak and anxious, and I've led everyone to believe they can talk to me this way, and that needs to change. And I'm still gonna stick with what I'm saying, which is that. What I've been saying, which is that it's taken too long for Rhaenyra to come to this place, and the Team Black scenes as a result have dragged and have felt quite circular and have been a bit stale. But like, we're moving on, and I'm grateful for that. I want to very quickly address someone in the chat who said, "Is this spoilers?" No spoilers. There are no spoilers in this live stream until the very end. So we break down the episode, then we have a spoiler section where we talk about the books and our theories for the future and all that stuff, so don't you worry. And also at the end of the live stream, we'll be reading out super chats and donations sent via the Streamlabs donation in the description. Okay. Yeah. Also, poor Celtigar.
Next. Yeah, poor Celtigar. Kind of not, because he was kind of being a dick. Next scene is a bit of a change of pace, which is interesting. We've never really seen Larys like fail to manipulate before. And it's kind of neat to see. And this small council chamber is getting smaller by the day. It's interesting to see like where people's loyalties seem to be lying. It seems like Ironrod is just kind of sticking with Aemon no matter what, whereas like Larys, as we see later on in the episode, is much more compelled by Aegon and trying to be bound to that cause rather than Aemon. So it is interesting to see the politics within the politics here.
In the glorious immortal words of Grand Maester Pycelle, the small council grows smaller and smaller.
When does he say that?
Yeah, it's season 5 when was it when Cersei, after Cersei fires Kevin Lannister? No, after Kevin Lannister resigns and then Cersei sends Mace Tyrell to Braavos in season 5. It's just Cersei, Qyburn, and Pycelle, I believe, and Pycelle's like,
is that when he farts?
Is that what? Sorry.
Is that when he farts, or is that season 6?
Season 6 is when he shits himself. Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
That was where the writing peaked, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I this was such a cool scene. So first off, yeah, I kind of like the characterization they've given Ironrod. He's just like such a sassy, bitchy guy who's always shooting off borderline treasonous zingers at different people. And it looks like he's kind of sucking up to Aemond a bit, and like the smug expression he gives him the fucking Shrek smile, the smirk when Aemond is roasting him, and it's kind of like. It's like, yeah, you get the impression that like, why does Ironrod hate him? He probably just sees him as like an annoying, slimy man, and he's like, yeah, stop trying to stop grasping. Yeah,
he's new to the council too, which is probably part of it. I think he just probably resents him. And if I had to guess, I don't know, maybe he thinks there could be some bad blood there because Master of Laws is his father's old seat, so maybe Jasper's worried about. Larys seeking that spot.
Yeah. And I said this in previous quickie reviews and live streams and stuff that we don't want Larys to turn into a sort of a schemer where everything goes his way, right? Where to an extent that can be satisfying, but eventually they turn into a sort of Gary Stew style character where everything goes their way just because the plot wants their schemes to pan out. So having him actually come up against a brick wall to actually overstep and to try to manipulate Aegon and actually come up against, no, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be like a slimy little lickspittle to become Hand. Of course I don't want you as Hand. Fuck off. I really appreciated that.
And a lickspittle.
Lickspittle! I love the word lickspittle. I'm a big lickspittle guy.
It's a killer word.
I love that. And of course he calls him a toad. He's like, no, not you.
I did not realize why that was his face. I forgot he was called a toad.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, we need to seek a new Hand. That's your job. He's like, thank you so much. And he's like, no, you're not the Hand, you toad. It's your job to send letter. Which is like, Aemond set him up to knock him down. Like, Aemond can send Otto a letter. He just wanted to troll him for no reason. But yeah. Yeah, I like seeing Larys coming up against some brick walls, some resistance, because it makes him way more interesting as a schemer. Like, how is he going to maneuver this? And like the look of hatred he like shoots at Aemond after he's called a toad, it's like, oh boy. And of course this then leads into a later scene which we're gonna have fun discussing.
Oh yeah.
God damn it. Nearly gave me an epileptic fit the way that photo was loading in.
Sorry. I've discovered this time, as I'm sure the people can tell, that I can add images as we go, and it's great.
It's delightful. It's delightful. Yeah, no, on the stream it's not flickering like crazy. Don't worry.
Good.
Just on my end. So the next slide. Welcome back, Vizzy T. We talked on our predictions stream about how Aegon is basically turning into his father Viserys, but it's the other side of his body that's fucked up, and we can imagine a scenario where he's like limping with a cane and wearing a face mask like Vizzy T, and the parallels are excellent. They're excellent.
I will sit the throne today.
Except he just like falls over. He like enters the throne room dramatically, just stumbles down the stairs like, ah!
I almost just gave a big spoiler, but I didn't, and I'm proud of myself for stopping myself.
You nearly spoiled the moment where he falls over.
That's correct. But no, yeah, this was good to see. I think it very much answers the question of why doesn't Aegon just tell people that his brother tried to kill him, since he very clearly knows that. But yeah, I think it was answered pretty well, just because he's scared, because you would be.
Yeah, if someone who's high on milk of the poppy was like, oh, my brother tried to kill me, and I went, Aemond, he's saying the craziest stuff. He's so high, he's saying you tried to kill him. Aemond's like, that's crazy. Oh, I'm going to smother him. So, yeah, clearly Aegon is like, yeah, no, I've got amnesia. I drank amnesia water from Glidus Incorporated, and I don't remember anything. That's a shame. Yeah, please don't kill me. The question now, of course, is why isn't Aemond killing him? Why is he sparing him?
I think it's a combination of a few factors. I think, first off, he doesn't have any heirs of his own. He might realize that if Aegon dies and he dies, that's just it. And other than Daeron, I forgot about Daeron. Sorry, Daeron. But I think also there's an element of not wanting to kinslay again, at least insofar as like he did not want to kill Luke, and he might not want to kill his brother either, and also just kind of extending his suffering. Maybe he doesn't want to let Aegon off so easy. He suffered Aegon's humiliations for so long, so now he gets to humiliate Aegon, if I could speak. I don't know, could be a lot of things.
Yeah, it's lots of complex motivations. It is somewhat ambiguous, but I think my favorite bit is where he like puts his hand on Aegon's head, and he does the whole one finger at a time, just super creepy. And I was like, oh, and you and Mitchell, we did the Game of Thrones podcast. It's worth a listen. It's kind of normie, but it's worth a listen. You and Mitchell said that he's inspired by like horror icons, like sort of 80s slasher villains.
Oh, that's good to hear.
The sort of the way their silent menace and the way they fill a room and the way they walk and so on, and you can definitely see that in his performance. But moving on to the Vale, we got a few scenes in the Vale. First off, we get our first look at Stormcloud, I believe.
Yes, and we get our first look at Quinn's CGI issues this episode. That looks exactly like Dany's dragons from season 2, just like a slightly different color. I think they reused the model.
Okay, actually, now that you've said it, that is not great CGI. Yeah, I think I was taken aback when I first watched it because I was like, oh, look at the little dragon.
I was like, hype. Stormcloud. I didn't expect to see him, but
Hello,
like,
I am fearsome dragon. Can we address whatever the fuck that red toy is meant to be? What the hell is that? What demon spawn from the depths of the seven hells is that meant to be?
I can't see. I'm not wearing my glasses.
You nerd. On the there's like a wooden box. There's a wooden box in the middle, and there's like a toy dragon on top of it. And then next to the toy dragon, there's like there's like a fat red pig thing.
Piggy bank. That's where they keep their golden dragons.
That's not a bad shout, actually. But someone on Twitter said it might be the pink dread. I love the idea that someone made a toy out of a reference to bullying Aemond as a child.
Who wouldn't?
Aegon would commission that, actually. I can see Teen Aegon being like, someone make a pink dread toy. That'd be so funny.
Yeah, it's also interesting that like Baby Stormcloud seems to be sitting with Viserys, not Aegon, because Aegon's the bigger kid, I assume, right?
It might just be perspective. Aegon's got his legs crossed, and no, one of them has their legs crossed. The other one is like lying with his feet out.
Oh, that's true.
So yeah,
you're right. This might be Viserys over here.
Which one? We don't know.
I'm just excited to see both of them, regardless. Someone else in the chat brings up a very good point that it could be a griffin.
Oh, a griffin. A griffin?
If we see a House Connington sigil in this show, I will like be the most excited of anyone in the world for anything in this show.
I will immediately fall asleep. I'll be zonked. I'll be right out like that.
Greatest character of all time.
I actually love the Conningtons. It's just me disliking them is funny because you like them so much.
They're the greatest.
And when I
said Red Ronnet.
When I say funny, I mean funny to me, not to anyone else. Okay, so in we have a moment where Rhaena is walking with Joffrey outside in the hills of the Vale, and she encounters just a massive scorch mark and a bunch of what appear to be like bones. And it turns out that there is, a wild dragon in the Vale. And she brings this up to Jane Arryn, who, by the way, is very tall. I think can I just say, the casting for Jane Arryn is so good. She's such like a stern, authoritative, like tall, strong woman. It's so kind of just cool, so much aura and presence. The fact that we're barely getting any scenes with her and the Eyrie seems to be relegated to a bedroom is so annoying. Like
I hope we see more of her. I think we will.
Jace. Why didn't we get Jace Jane Arryn scenes? Can you imagine how awesome that would be? Jane being like, "Convince me, she looks so cool. I like Jace. She's hot, is what I'm trying to say. In so many words.
I was able to pinpoint the exact line that pissed George R.R. Martin off.
Go on.
Jane says that, like, they ran low of food on Dragonstone, so the dragon came here to feed.
Uh-oh.
That was exactly what he called out in his blog post from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he said that dragons are territorial and don't tend to travel beyond Dragonstone, and so there wouldn't... And he specifically name drops the Vale, which is clearly a kind of passive-aggressive snipe at the show, which, by the way, he has also praised to the people who keep being like, George hates the show.
He loves the show. He's just kind of a nerd about certain things, as are we all.
Yes, he's a little bit neurospicy when it comes to the nerdy specifics, and he's very much, he's like, he's probably not a big fan of a certain plot change that we're not going to talk about until we get to spoilers. No. But yeah, Jane Arryn's like, oh yeah, I said I wanted a dragon in the Vale, and technically I have one, but like it's a wild dragon, and I don't care about a wild dragon without a rider flying around burning sheep, because that's not useful to me.
Stealing sheep?
It's seeing the baby Stormcloud, like actually seeing him for the first time, it's so funny that Jane Arryn was like, I will join you if you send me a dragon to protect the Eyrie, and they send that. That's what they send.
He sent a dragon.
Just a little toddler. Although no, technically it's Tyraxes they're sending, right? Where Viserys and Aegon...
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Viserys, Aegon...
Tyraxes is like 2 years older than this. Albeit, if we're looking at like Game of Thrones timeline, there's like 2 years between this and like Drogon season 4, season 5.
Yeah. They aged weirdly in the show as well. The show's
really
not great. Comparison for that. But yes, the Aegon and Viserys are going to be sent off to Pentos with Rhaena, where they'll be looked after, and then Joffrey supposedly will stay with Jane Arryn to be warded, and his dragon, who's sort of probably a tween, like a tween dragon, right? If we're going to compare it to humans, will be guarding the Eyrie.
I bet Taraxes is probably about the size of Vermax in episode 6 when we saw him in the Dragon Pit.
Probably, yeah, like a little moody.
It cannot be written yet, but like
moody teenage dragon maybe. Oh, Mum, I don't want to go flying. I don't want to breathe fire. Oh,
you're
so embarrassing.
I will say, with this next scene, myself and everyone else was correct, and I'm very happy about that.
Yes.
What did you think of this?
I'm happy to be validated in this, because there was a certain someone who I love them. They're a big fan of the channel, but a certain someone in the comments who kept saying the reason he's bald is because he's just a bald actor. Stop reading too much into it. Stop coping. And it's
not. He's on Critical Role right now, and he is not bald.
He's on Critical Role. That's fucking badass. He's really receptive on Twitter. Like I saw Dragon Demands like a couple months ago, just like atting him, and he responded. I might at him and be like, "Yo, join the pod. Me and Quinn, let's go."
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Can you imagine the Abu Bakr Salim joins like for the finale? I might reach out to him.
I would not be opposed.
I'll
reach out to him. Though.
Dibs on what? Oh, on your channel? Oh, piss off. No, it was my idea. It was my idea.
We'll stream simultaneously on both channels.
We can split it in half. We can do part 1, part 2. You can do part 2. It can be the last 5 minutes, and I'll do the first 3 hours. How about that?
That's very generous of you.
We'll work it out in the divorce settlement. But yes, we learned that Alan is shaving his head probably because he has silver hair, which lots of fans were theorizing. And yeah, we get a little bro moment. We don't learn that much new, but basically, Alan is almost sort of likes to keep his head low and is sort of ashamed of being a bastard, and he's named first mate by Corlys in this episode, and he's like, are you asking me or are you commanding me? Because he's clearly he's not like his brother, who's very much like, who's way more open to the idea. He's like, you just embrace being his bastard, embrace being close to him, because Adam's like, he doesn't care about me, he cares about you because you're the sailor, you're the badass, you're the warrior, I'm just kind of the other bastard. Do you reckon, I've got a question for you, Quinn, do you reckon the ages are flipped for these characters?
I was thinking about that. I don't believe so. Maybe. I mean, like, it so clearly seems like Alan is older, but I feel like it's a pretty important part of Adam's character that he's the older one.
I don't.
Because he's the heir, he has the dragon, he's got it all, essentially.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's. I think it's fine for Alan to be.
I agree. It's fine if they change it.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal. I just would be.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting if they changed it.
Just their dynamic, and even the actors kind of gives off the impression that Alan is the older one and Adam is the younger one. But yeah, it doesn't really matter either way. For a split second, I forgot that he had claimed the dragon this episode. And I was like, you just fucking dropped a spoiler. What the hell? And I was like, all right, yeah, literally the end of the episode.
Sorry. He did. I saw a take that I agreed with, which is that I think we should have seen the conversation between Rhaenyra and Adam as the end of this episode instead of the start of the next one.
I agree. Yeah. And you know what else I agree with? I agree with the glorious House Beesbury rising up against this tyrannical bourgeois Hightower masters. So we get word from Orwyle while Alicent is looking after her son. Very reminiscent of Catelyn and Bran Stark in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Oh, true.
We get word from Orwyle that House Beesbury has actually risen up against the Hightower. So House Beesbury are vassals of House Hightower. The Hightowers are Lords Bannerman, and the Beesburys are sort of one rank below that. And of course, it's probably because they're like, okay, why is it that the throne was usurped, and on the same night that happened, Lyman Beesbury happened to die? Fuck you. And this happens in the book as well. So as far as we know, in what's going on in terms of the geopolitical situation in the Reach, We know that the Hightowers are raising an army. We know that Otto is travelling to the Tyrells because they apparently haven't declared for anyone, and we know that House Breezebury is now rising up against the Hightower. So the Reach doesn't seem as stable as, let's say, the Westerlands and the Stormlands in terms of supporting Team Green. So we'll have to see how that evolves.
We do have a piece of good news from them for next episode, which is that Targaryen has taken wing. But other than that, yeah, not looking good for the Greens.
That might be the best next time trailer there's been so far, by the way.
Agreed, by a mile.
That got me pumped. I was like, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like a lot is happening in the next episode.
I'm very, very excited to see it. Bees in the chat, everyone, by the way. Bees in the chat. Bees.
Speaking of Daeron here, this was, I think, my second favorite scene of the episode.
I am inclined to agree. I think our top scenes are probably identical.
I would guess as such. But oh my god, I love Freddie Fox, is that his name? I love him as Gwaine.
Me too.
He has Otto's cadence down to a T.
Yeah, he is so obviously like a Hightower noble, but right? Like there's a very clear vibe with the Hightowers, and he encapsulates that perfectly. He really is like a younger Otto. And the awkward relationship between the siblings is so perfect, and it makes perfect sense as well, because like they literally separated as presumably like teenagers, right? And then Alicent spent her whole life in King's Landing, and her and Gwaine would have occasionally meet up for like tournaments and balls and celebrations and stuff, so they barely know each other, so they're not super intimate, but when Gwaine does leave, he just gives her like a little handhold, which such a nice touch. I really liked it. And Daeron, like, this is what we were waiting for.
Luke player.
This is what we were waiting for. Like, we got a couple of awkward Daeron references, and I still think most casual viewers probably might not have even picked up on that. But this was like a full-blown discussion about him. I'm talking too much. You take over.
No, it perfectly encapsulates the character from the book and makes me confident that they're going to adapt him well. And I have to say that there is something to be said about him being saved for season 3 for exactly one very important reason. That being something that was discussed in this episode. He is 6 and 10. He is fairly young, and if they cast somebody for this season, they're going to be like 18 or older for the next season. They're going to age probably much more and much more visibly than anybody else would. So I think that having that be something a little saved for next season, maybe episode 1, see the honey wine, I think that'll be good. I think it's going to be very exciting to see him, especially given how kind of packed this season is with only 8 episodes. I'm fine with it.
There are also some fan theories online that Daeron is going to be the bastard son of Alicent and Criston. I don't know if you've seen those things floating online. The idea being that they slept together. She had a bastard that takes after Criston Cole, and they basically went, let's send him off to Old Town. Did we? Oh yeah, no, of course we did. We did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and I didn't think it was true.
I mean, I don't think it's true, but I think it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. It's dumb. There's not much to say, actually. Yeah, if we've already talked about it. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I thought, this was a great way to actually talk about him. There's one line I don't like in this scene. There's one line. So basically, he's describing Daeron, and then there's a pause, and he's like, and he's kind. And then Alicent's face is like the best thing ever. Like, tears well up in her face, and her face speaks 1,000 words, right? And it's a really great moment. But then it's kind of ruined, because then she says, if only his brothers had inherited the same kindness, or something along those lines. And it was like, that was already said. That you didn't need to say that. That's telling and not showing. Like, we know from the context of the show and from your amazing facial expressions that what's going through your head is, thank goodness at least one of my offspring is kind, or one of my sons specifically, because Helena's nice, that one of my sons has grown up to be a good, kind person and not a crazy person like Aegon and Aemond. But then her just outright saying that, like, well, his brothers aren't the same. I was like, no, we didn't need that. That felt weirdly unprofessional for a show of this caliber.
I agree. I don't think it was egregious, though. I think this was still a fantastic scene.
You've been making some pretty high-pitched noises recently, I've noticed, Quinn.
I'm just, I'm just, I'm having a good time over here.
You're getting that Oscar Tully voice. The Next Time trailer, his voice was breaking. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it really was.
What are you, Mickey Mouse now? What's going on?
Uh-huh.
Don't make me whip out the Kermit Tully impression again. I'm getting sick of it. The audience is getting sick of it. No one wants it anymore. No one wants it. No, we're done. No more. No more.
Next scene.
Yes.
Did you think that Hugh was going to eat the dog?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I must have been looking away, but I don't remember Hugh interacting with Cheese's dog when I first watched this.
My dad said the same thing.
It's only online. Everyone was talking about it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then when I rewatched it, I was like, "Oh, yeah, oh shit, that's awesome, that's cool." Yeah, I love how this dog has the most unexpected character arc in the entire season. This dog has a better arc than Rhaenyra right now.
Disagree on that, but I also loved seeing Hugh just deck somebody. I think that's very much in line with book Hugh, and I love the way it's like literally the like, would you steal food to save your dying family thing?
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's a morally probably bad act, but he's doing it for the best reason possible. I love that.
It's cool to see the sort of the calm-natured, intelligent, put upon Hugh Hammer have a moment of like just thuggish violence when he's like, get off my fucking food, this is for my daughter, be gone, and just punches him in the face. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's a big guy too, like that guy.
He's a fucking badass.
Probably did not get up for a minute.
He's just a cool guy. It's just cool to see all these small folk. I wonder what relevance he will serve in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight Hugh. This isn't specifically talking about the food riot scene yet, but we can talk about it because that's the next slide. Yeah, of course it is. Okay, so this, the Queen of Fishes, I've called this slide, because that's what they call Rhaenyra. That's what they call Alicent, because presumably the only thing they're living off of, well, they say, is fish, because, they can just fish in the Blackwater Bay, but nothing else is coming in. There's probably like a trickle of stuff coming in via land. But yeah.
Or, what if Alicent Hightower is secretly a Tully?
Let's move on. So this scene I thought was... this scene I really enjoyed. Good
Me
old
too.
food riot. It's super important to show the impact on the civilian population that this war is having, and also the consequences of Rhaenyra's propaganda, right? It's going to have violent effects. It almost costs the life of Alicent and Helena, and it's very similar to, as you pointed out on Twitter and in a previous live stream, season 2 episode 6 of Game of Thrones, where the same episode had the food riot scene where the High Septon was torn to shreds.
Hey, Mr. Haven, do you like these door spikes in this screenshot?
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
Foreshadowing. Did you like the guy getting his hand cut off? Do you like me getting a fundraising text that could probably be heard on my mic?
The hand getting cut off. More foreshadowing. Am I right? Do you think that's Do you think that's just meant to be like a wink, or do you reckon that is deliberately supposed to be a character who appears later on who has one hand?
I think they are setting that up as a possibility. I don't think it's anything yet.
But just because they show his face for like a second, and if he is going to be that character we're thinking of, like, it would be weird to not, like, unless they were like, we want someone who looks a certain way, but we're not going to really show off who they are. And then when we bring them back, we'll get a proper actor for it, and they'll just have like a similar vibe and a similar age.
I think it'll be that.
Yeah. But yes, this was a very effective scene. I don't know why Helena keeps suffering. God damn it. Poor girl. And there's something I wanted to address, which is
your theory getting busted.
My theory is still open. The cuck theory is still open.
There's one left.
Hold on. Hold on. We don't know. We don't officially know. So let's
do. Come on.
Let's break down what happens. So I rewatched it intently. Okay, I rewatched it intently, and you can see Leon Estamont, Martin Rain, and Red Ned Waters. I don't know why he's called Red Ned. That man is not a ginger, but nonetheless, they're being surrounded by the crowd, and they're kind of looking around, flailing their swords wildly, because obviously they're incompetent. And then Leon...
We saw at least one of them go down and get swarmed.
Yes, Leon Estamont specifically is the one who is dragged to the ground and kicked, and when we next see him, it looks like they're stabbing at him, and between the legs, you can see some blood, right, coming from his... dripping over his armor. So I think Leon Estamont is confirmed dead. I do think it was shot kind of awkwardly. I think that could have been shot bit better. But we did not see Martin Rain or Red Ned get killed, which means my cuck theory is still in the air.
I think we saw 2 of them get grabbed and only saw one of them ended up getting stabbed. I think that I think Red Ned got away. I think the other 2 died.
Yeah, I really think this scene was actually handled quite poorly. Like, what could have been like a really
I disagree. I like the chaos.
Oh no, the entire scene, yes, but the death, him being like dragged down and then like kicked, and then like I think we should have got like a proper scene, like a proper.
But I do think
death scene.
There's another character in the book. I think his name's Marston Waters, who plays a pretty important role later on in the dance. I think they're probably replacing him with Red Ned. So I think that very much tracks with that being the one who's survived.
I'm okay if like just Leon Estamont dies, and then as a kind of incompetent Kingsguard gets torn apart, like Sir Preston Greenfield, right, in Clash of Kings getting torn apart by the crowd. Not to say he's incompetent or anything. We don't know enough about him really, but I think it would be quite lame if all 3 of them died in this way. Like, if it kind of feels
I don't think all 3 did.
Yeah, it feels a bit just kind of pointless. Like, why introduce them? Like, they were good. It's good to give allies and friends to Aegon and kind of to show off his incompetence and his corruption and so on. But just having them all suddenly, boom, they're dead now. It's like, I don't know. I feel like I want to see. I'm happy for them to get killed off one by one in various ways as the war progresses. But I feel like
in increasingly complex and elaborate
over the top ways. But yeah, having them all wiped out in one go like this, it would kind of be like, what's the point, So
someone in the chat pointed out something that I like that could redeem one of them dying this episode is Martin Rain dying in an episode where the Rains of Castamere played is pretty good.
What song are you doing?
That was the same one.
I don't believe you. Rest in peace. At the very least, rest in peace, Leon Estamont, and let's hope that the others have survived. Now, to move on to the next scene, which I have entitled "Crippled Bastards and Broken Things." I'll let you take over this one.
Yeah. So this is my second favorite scene of the season so far. I think it's only topped by Otto getting unhanded. This was just fantastic all around. I mean, Larys is obviously the standout here. He's such like a reserved character typically. To see him go from this kind of logical, analytical person to actually like dropping the facade a little bit to someone that he can now relate to and having that pathos creep through, him actually shedding a tear, and then forging this bond between him and Aegon is a fascinating development for both of these characters because we've seen Larys in the past be very opportunistic with who he works with. He's worked with Otto, he's worked with Alicent, he's flip-flopped on both of them whenever it suits him. But with Aegon, it seems like he's now found a kindred spirit. He's saying that the 2 of them are now going to be looked upon in the same way. And that's just fascinating for both of these characters. I think it'll be very influential for Aegon's development moving forward. I actually am going to make a video on this. The script is mostly complete. It's expanded actually from a video on this specifically, but to a video on this, and then branching out into how Martin tends to write disability in characters, because that was a fantastic and like fascinating topic, and one that I have a little bit of connection to myself. So look forward to that. Hopefully later this week. We'll see when. But yeah, sorry, that was a lot. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm super excited to see that video. Actually, I can't wait to watch it. Yes,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. I love this scene. Yeah, same as you. I thought it was incredible. I was just so taken aback by Larys actually revealing himself and not hiding behind anything. I do think naturally that his actions here, they are simultaneously real and emotional and instinctual, but also Machiavellian. Like
absolutely,
he knows what he's doing. He is trying to manipulate Aegon. He's trying to get onto his side because Aemond has rejected him, and he's like,
he's picking his prince.
I need to pivot and move on to someone else who I've already ensnared in my clutches and bring them even closer to my heart. But that doesn't mean that like his thoughts are not real, because he is speaking from personal experience. And finally, we get to hear just a little bit more about his motivation, because Season 1 was sorely missing scenes between Larys and his family. The only indication of anything we got in Season 1 was
His
excuse me,
honor
sorry.
is like a millstone about his esteemed neck.
Yeah, yeah, in reference to his father, and honestly, in relation to this scene where he talks about his father seeing his deformity as some sort of curse, um, placed upon him by a witch or whatever, like it almost makes you think that he's like, yeah, maybe he saw his father as like this, this a man obsessed with sort of honor and justice and goodness, but he's also, but who maybe saw him in a negative light, and he maybe Laris is like, yeah, fuck that, fuck all this honor bullshit. When you treated my deformity as a curse, that's not the real you, or whatever. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's also worth noting that, is that an Alice Rivers reference?
It could be. I don't know. I've seen people on Twitter interpret it in that way. I'm not entirely positive. I don't think that Lionel is correct in that assumption. I don't think it would be good for him to be correct, but
Yeah, I think it's
yeah,
far more interesting that Lionel is just a superstitious person who saw his son
yeah,
be born with a deformity, and when some horrible
had to blame
witch,
something other than himself.
yeah, some horrible witch is responsible for this. And like the idea of it actually being sorcery, or like that Alice Rivers actually did it, is really lame to me. I'm okay with the idea that he blamed Alice Rivers, like because Alice Rivers is a weirdo and maybe he is referencing her, but like her actually being responsible, I really don't like the idea that Laris's deformity
Agreed.
was brought upon by magic. That takes it's another reason I really don't like the warg. Sorry, I like the warg theory about him warging rats and spying the Red Keep in terms of it's a really fun concept. I just don't. I think it takes away from his character. I think it's way more interesting that he doesn't become a spy master through supernatural means, but as he says here, through using his mind, using the one thing to his advantage that he has.
Yeah. I also think I like the ending of this scene with him giving this dire warning against Aemond and then Aegon just responding with help me. Because it does reflect that he's like, this is Aegon reaching out for guidance. This is him following his mother's advice that he gave him just before he went and got burned. He is allowing his counselor to aid him however he can, and this will likely lead to Laris usually using this as a blank check to try to tear down Aemond.
And yeah, I think it's just a just a great scene, and it sets up lots of interesting
Needham
things to
deserves an
come.
Emmy for this scene.
Oh, incredible! I was so taken aback. I was like, "Oh, and like the various emotions he goes through, like the vulnerability he shows, and then at the very end when it hardens into that like psycho stare when he's like, "Let's get fucking revenge, boy." Yeah. I also I do want to say that oh, it immediately just slipped my mind. What was I going to say? God damn it.
I was going to say that outside of one scene in season one, Laris is one of my favorite characters in this show.
What was that one
And I will
scene?
talk about that scene in my video.
Oh, is it the infamous one?
Yeah, I don't love that the one. I'll get into it in my video.
Yeah,
I'll save the thoughts for then.
I've made my thoughts known. I like that scene. I like that for his character. I like. There's a certain interpretation of that scene that goes beyond the whole OnlyFans meme. That I'm fine with, but I understand why some people had an issue with it. I remembered what I was going to say. I was going to say what I find most fascinating isn't that Laris is like, you're going to get bullied and people are going to pick on you and all that stuff. The classic burn down the village that rejects him to feel its warmth kind of thing. But instead he's like pity. It's like people will view you with pity. They will stare at you or they'll look away, but it won't be, it's less kind of being beaten up or whatever, but more just kind of people just will underestimate you and feel sorry for you, and the humiliation that comes with that seems to weigh heavily on him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Good scene.
Yeah, a good emotional scene from an unexpected character that then transitions onto another emotional scene with an unexpected character. That being, I'm trying to make these segues as long as possible so that Canva can fucking load on the YouTube. I sound like a boomer. We are boomers. Yes, the second vision scene. And can I just quickly say, let's talk about it afterwards. Let's talk about it after we've discussed this specific scene. Yeah, just a great moment of Viserys grieving over Emma and his baby, and Daemon does something that presumably, he didn't do in real life, which is he actually comforts his brother and holds him and allows himself to be emotionally vulnerable.
I think, this was probably my third favorite scene of the episode. Patty was just incredible here.
Yeah, it was so
Like, you
good.
couldn't even see his face for most of it, but just the physicality of it.
They were so good, and I wanted to lead into. People have been complaining about the Harrenhal storyline and the visions and so on, and I really don't have an issue with the amount of visions. And some people are like, get on with it, or why do we keep doing this, blah blah. But like, I think every vision has served a purpose and has dealt with a different aspect of Daemon's psyche. If we were spinning wheels and doing the same thing over and over, I'd have a problem with it. But I genuinely think that a lot of the people complaining about the pacing are people who binged watched Game of Thrones. And
Yeah.
I think if Hot D dropped in one whole package and was binged, people would not be complaining about the Harrenhal plot. But because it's week by week, and there's an expectation that this specific show is about a bunch of battles happening, which was
That's what Game of Thrones is.
not in the early seasons. That was not the implicit. I know you're being
Game of
sarcastic,
Thrones
but
is smashing action figures together and
hell yes.
dragons.
But yeah, I've been fine with the pacing of Harrenhal. That doesn't mean that I've 100% been happy with all the decisions. But like, yeah, I think all the scenes have dealt into different aspects of Daemon's dark psyche, and I've really enjoyed it. And after this scene, we get confirmation. So I don't have this as a slide specifically, but we get confirmation that Lord Grover Tully has passed away. Rest in peace to a real one. What I should do in each of these streams actually is, it's a bit late now because there's only 2 episodes left. God damn, only 2 episodes left. But I should have like an ending slide, a sort of in memoriam, like kind of rest in peace everyone who died that episode. So today we have, alongside Leon Estamont and Stefan Darklin, we have Lord Grover Tully, Fat Lord Grover Tully. F's in the chat everyone for Grover.
Dancing on the Tully grave.
Yeah, no, fucking Muppet Tullys suck. I'm so glad he's dead. Bastard.
Yeah. But alas, at least what's his name's Lord now? Oscar? That's the one that
Oscar.
is still in the show?
Oscar. The teen lord whose voice is still breaking. Say that again, sorry?
Kermit is the lord in the books.
He is, unfortunately, but luckily we have based Oscar instead with a normal name. I love it so much.
Yeah. But, yeah, next scene was,
Whoa, slow down, Mr. Quinn. Slow down, Mr. Jim. We're missing something.
Are we?
We're missing the nature of Lord Grover's death.
Pillow, probably.
The fact that Sir Simon Strong said that...
He did give a little smirk there.
He said that, yeah, Alice Rivers, our own physician Alice Rivers, has tried to help him, but alas, unsuccessfully. Like, and then he smirks. The implication, I think, is that Alice and Simon have clearly worked together to be like, let's assassinate Grover on behalf of Daemon. And like, if it was just Alice, that's one thing, but the fact that Simon gave that smirk is like, oh, there's Simon's
a real one.
He's more cunning than he lets on, I think. Like, he's like, I got you, fam.
Oh,
I know
for sure.
You're going a bit crazy, but I got you. And that kind of implies a sort of relationship between Simon and Alice, like a kind of, like some kind of like partnership, which is really awesome.
I think they complement each other quite well, because Simon is this like, very like well-meaning seeming old man who's just kind of jovial, to do about everything.
Rotund.
Very jovial, yes. And Alice is just a fucking crazy witch.
It's a great combo. I want to see that sitcom, the spin-off.
Yeah, me too. I'd watch that. But, Simon, I think Simon's my favorite new character this season, other than Hugh.
Yeah, he's awesome.
There's a lot of good new characters this season, man. Alice is great too.
Yeah, don't get me started on Martin Rain. What a G. I love that guy.
Oh, yeah.
So this next scene, we have something quite new when it comes to dragon bonding scenes, which is the dragon comes for him. Whether he likes it or not, the dragon comes for him. He rejected Stefan Darklin, too pale, and he went, hey, I like this guy. I like the cut of this guy's jib. I'm going to force him to bond with me. That sounded weird.
So, my thought on this was, I thought Seasmoke's CGI was excellent in the scene where Darklin was trying to claim him. I think he's excellent at the end of this scene and this image we have here. When he was like flying super fast in the forest and whatnot, that CGI did not look great to me.
I'd have to double check that. It wasn't noticeable. But also bear in mind, I'm watching on my shitty 1080p Now TV bullshit.
I'm watching on a television.
How many times can I ramble about Now TV? But yeah, this is quite fun. This is different from the book, of course. In the book, Adam joins Rhaenyra's, call to action. Like, hey, I want to claim me a cheeky dragon, and then he does so. Whereas this is like, Sea Smoke's like, screw this, I want a rider, I'm going to seek out this guy, I like this guy. It does call into question, how is Adam able to claim him? Because Adam's father is Corlys, and House Velaryon do not have dragon riding blood. They are not dragon lords.
There are a few possible outcomes I could see for this. First off is that Matilda, Adam and Alan's mother, might be a dragon seed, which would make sense given that one of them can ride a dragon and the other has shown no such ability yet. Another thought that I had was that, I don't know, Valyrian blood is definitely something that is important to dragon bonding, but we do know from the book that it's not everything. I think that maybe Adam just is being a half-brother to Laenor, close enough to Laenor, insofar as like he kind of recognizes him and seeks him out.
And another option is, of course, that like maybe distantly House Velaryon did marry into House Targaryen through the female line, and so there is a drop of dragon blood there.
Or the book is correct and they're Laenor's kids.
That would be, what, a fucking child Laenor from episode 1 of season 1.
Yeah.
He was smashing, was he? The brothel madam.
Yeah.
She likes that kind of thing. Yeah.
Their mother is a shipwright, not a brothel madam.
Your Discord voice thing suddenly spiked. Ow, my ears.
Oh.
I don't know what happened there. It's all good.
I was very upset about you calling Matilda of Hull a brothel madam. She owns 8 ships, I'll have you know.
Might be. Yeah, in the book, they're Laenor's... Oh, well, allegedly they're Laenor's kids, and some fans push that idea, but, like, clearly the book is hinting that they are Corlys's children. It's the same thing when people are like, oh, Rhaenyra's bastards aren't bastards, they're actually Targaryens, and they have the black hair from Rhaenys and Jocelyn Baratheon. It's like, the book is so clearly, obviously stating that they are Harwin's bastards. Like... Why do they have pug noses? Anyway, sorry. But yeah, interesting scene. And of course, at the end of the episode, Rhaenyra learns that there is someone riding a dragon, riding Sea Smoke, and she's going to confront him. And as you've said, that probably would have been a better end of episode scene, but it looks like it's been pushed.
End of season?
Sorry, end of episode scene, but it looks like it's been pushed. So the next slide might get this video demonetized, but it's already demonetized because I swore.
37, a Feast for Crows moment.
Certified Feast for Crows moment. Okay, so there's a lot to say about this scene beyond Awooga. If we can get it out of our system, Awooga, smash his head with mallet, etc. Yeah, you go first. You go first.
I quite liked this scene. I think that obviously, like, A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons really didn't get adapted, and I think we're getting bits and pieces of that here. For those who don't know, in the book, Cersei has a scene with the wife of one of her counselors. She kind of thinks like, oh, Robert would have gotten with this woman, so maybe I will, and she ends up doing that and hurting the woman, and it's bad, and it's this reflection on Cersei's psyche and her kind of becoming everything she's hated. Whereas I think in this, it's kind of the inverse of that. We have Rhaenyra saying she kind of wishes she was Daemon. She wishes she was a man, which is fascinating thematically. But then kind of resigning to invert that and kind of, I don't know, seemingly be better than that. And it seems like, I don't know, I've liked their dynamic a lot this season. I think they have a tendency to complement each other in terms of ideas and being able to just come up with competent schemes to get Rhaenyra more power, and I think that this was a good scene. I thought that it was well done, and I'm sad the episode's getting review bombed for it.
Of course you like this scene, you pervert. Okay, so let me give you my opinion. Obviously, I am the million accounts review bombing this episode. I don't like this, so I'll explain why. So first off, I'm really not a big fan of Mysaria. Like, I think it's a mixture of...
I like her a lot.
I give 3 main reasons. One, I genuinely think the scenes with her are quite boring. Oh, you bastard. You stop distracting me, you bastard. I think they're genuinely quite boring. I think I'm not a big fan of the actress. I think she's very monotonous. She hasn't got much screen presence. I haven't seen her in anything else. I'm sure she's good in other stuff, but I know the accent's better, but she doesn't capture me. And most importantly, I think the narrative is the narrative is really pushing her and serving her in a way that doesn't feel justified. Like, the fact that she's gained this much influence with Rhaenyra really does feel forced. Like, all, you know, she's captured and she's a prisoner, and Rhaenyra reels off a bunch of reasons why she shouldn't trust Mysaria, and then she releases her anyway, which is super risky, and then Mysaria happens to encounter the Cargill assassin, and then Rhaenyra suddenly trusts her and then is now in charge of her, like, spy network, and it just feels like it feels a bit too contrived and too forced. And every time they're in a scene together, it's basically, I just find it a bit boring, honestly. I'm not.
I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that, like, it makes perfect sense for Rhaenyra to want to listen to the one person that is actively listening to her and seems to respect her.
Yeah,
I think that
I agree with that. I agree with that aspect.
I think that if I'm psychoanalyzing the haven of this all, I think that you really didn't like that scene in episode 2, and it sounds like that has shaded things.
It's not just that scene. It's just, although that is contrived, it's just also, yeah, I just think every scene she's in, she's not bringing much, and she's just not saying anything particularly
I had
interesting.
thought about her last season. I think she's improved vastly this season.
I think her accent has improved, for sure, but I don't know. I also, it's yet another female character that, instead of being ruthless or villainous like they are in the books, basically being like, it's all about the common people and you need to do the right thing, and it's just kind of eye rolling, like, ugh. But okay, so I think this scene is justified if there's a heel turn and it's revealed that Mysaria is basically manipulating Rhaenyra this entire time, and her end goal is take down the Greens and the Blacks, and, you know, raise the small folk up and tear down the monarchy, etc., etc. But if she is just Team Black, I just think that's not as interesting, honestly. I will also say that I think this scene in particular, this kiss scene, so I was saying I don't really like her character and her interactions that much. This kiss scene in particular, I don't like at all. I think it's so out of the blue. It really is out of nowhere. Nowhere up until now have they had any chemistry. Has there even been a hint, an inkling that they're interested in each other? And then suddenly this episode,
had a lot of chemistry.
I don't agree. I don't think they do. And then in this episode, like, they give a couple of glances, and then suddenly they start making out, and I'm just like, this is really out of left field. This feels really weird. And also it kind of fits in, it goes into that really annoying trope of one character talks about their history of sexual abuse, and then it suddenly leads into, like, a steamy sex scene. And I know you could argue, like,
that part I agree with.
Yeah, like, I know trauma bonding is a thing, but, like, it is kind of tropey. And Game of Thrones is guilty of this too, by the way, specifically the books, right? The whole Tysha thing, Tysha being nearly, like, assaulted by, like, a bunch of peasants, and then Tyrion rescues her, and then they suddenly marry and sleep together. That I always found that quite eye rolling. The whole kind of, you know, something has just happened to me, or I'm talking about something that happened to me, and suddenly I'm hot and heavy. I'm like, really? And another thing to add, I know I'm rambling a bit, but it is kind of like, I don't know, I'm not a big fan when characters share intimate moments and have the potential to be intimate friends, and then it becomes sexualized, you know? Like, you see it a lot in the fandom,
I mean,
specifically with male characters, where there's, like, two male characters that are super close to each other and quite intimate, and they love each other in a friendly way. And suddenly,
but my thought is, like, I don't know, I like how much of, like, Rhaenyra's story as a whole just revolves around gender and her identity generally, and her trying to fit into this very male-dominated system and make it her own, and framing this around that as well. I think there are scenes throughout this season so far that do have some sort of something lingering between the two of these people, and I think that it is kind of a good adaptation of book material, because in the book, the thought is that, like, going forward from this point, people keep saying that, like, Mysaria and Daemon are having an affair, and Rhaenyra is just okay with it. And I feel like at this point of the show, I could not see that being the case, but I could see this happening. I think this is a good thought, and I think that it very much ties into Rhaenyra's relationship with Alicent, at least growing up, and what it used to be. I think it's good. I think it makes sense.
Conceptually, I'm fine with the idea of Rhaenyra and Mysaria having a relationship. So in the book, Rhaenyra is, it's heavily implied that she has sex with Laena and Daemon, so clearly she's represented as a bisexual character. And we know that she does have, you know, a close bond with Mysaria in the books, and sort of turning that sexual. I'm fine with that. That's a cool idea. I just think the execution like, I don't want this scene to be me, like, blinking, like that blinking man gif where he's like, huh, being like, what the hell's going on? I want it to be, yes, this makes sense, this is satisfying, satisfying in a narrative way, not in a,
it made sense to me,
not in a ooga booga way. And I also want to address some people in the chat who are saying that, like, this scene only exists because the writers are being woke. If that were the case, then why didn't they have scenes in season 1 copied from the books where Rhaenyra has sexual relations with Laena? Like, we could have had lesbian scenes and explored those kind of themes in season 1, but they were cut. So if the writers were only obsessed with that, then they would have done it in season 1. Like, I think this is just a story decision that I'm not super satisfied with personally. Although I do enjoy the memes. I am enjoying all the memes.
Don't review bomb, folks.
Yeah, and don't review bomb. That's so sad. Like,
not that I don't think any of our audience would be review bombing. I hope, but
no, it's lame. It's really lame.
Yep.
It's really sad, and this is a good episode. So
it is. I'd say it's I'd say it's middle of the pack this season for me.
Yeah. Again, I'm so far I've had episode 1 as 7, episode 2 as 8, episode 3 as 7, episode 4 as 9, episode 5 as 8, and now this one as 8. So I've actually been quite generous to this season.
Yeah,
and
I said like
go.
Yeah. No, I think mine was like 1 was 7.5, 2 was 10, 3 was 7, 4 was 9, 5 was 6.5. This was an 8.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I do want to move on, but before we do, someone in the chat said, and this is my fault because I should have watched the accompanying.
I did see it was improvised
inside the episode and House the Dragon's Built. I should be doing those before these streams. My apologies, I haven't seen them yet. But it's improvised. Okay, that kind of changes things because that means it wasn't a deliberate writing choice. I mean, it's still the writers who say, yes, I'm going to allow this improvisation. But you know, I'm happy with actors practicing and improvising and like exploring their characters. But like, it's down. Yeah, ultimately, I think the writers should have been like, okay, that probably explains why it doesn't feel properly set up then, because they improvised. And like, if they had intended for this, they would have set it up better in previous episodes. And bear in mind, with the writer's strike, they weren't able to like change dialogue during the filming. So maybe I don't know. I need to look more into how it was improvised. As in, like, during rehearsals, they just had a hug and then started.
Off her head, and Matt Damon picked it up.
Matt Damon picked it up and started making out with Paddy Considine. But yeah,
that's what Dream's next episode.
Were they just rehearsing and then they were just like, this woman's kind of hot, and they just started making out? Because that's kind of based, honestly. Like, how do you improvise this? Anyway, yeah, those are our thoughts on this scene. I'll have to see how this plot develops. I think the execution is poor, but hopefully it will progress. But now, I believe it is time to delve into spoilers. So, before we jump into spoilers, so don't jump off the stream just yet, Quinn and I are going to be answering the super chats and Streamlab donations that have come in. So that'll be lots of fun. Let me jump to them. And if there are any spoilery super chats, I'll save them for the spoiler section. So first off, thank you for the super chat from Tyler, who says, Why does Alice care about / want to help Daemon in the context of the show? Am I crazy for finding that plotline confected? I'm not sure what you mean by confected there, but well, I think
candy.
I think it's very nice. I think it's answered in the fact that Simon Strong gives that smirk, that clearly Alice and Simon are working together in some capacity. I imagine more will be revealed, but yeah, I think there's something going on. The Strongs are plotting something and Alice is joining in. That's my instinct.
I would agree with that.
Thank you for the super chat from Kelly Johnson, who says, Fantasy Haven, what art school did you go to? I went to an art school in Austria, actually, but it rejected me.
He failed out.
And I haven't honestly psychologically recovered since, and I've been having some dark thoughts about the nature of especially the German race, but we can go into that later. It's being serious. I haven't been to any art school. I'm not very good at art. I've never considered myself an artist until I decided to start making animated videos, and then I just sat down and like taught myself to draw some stuff. So yeah, I don't consider myself an artist by any stretch of the imagination, and I've never been interested in it until I started this channel. But there we go. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat from Gavin Copley, who says, Lord Haven, I am late this time. Please forgive me. Don't worry, I was slightly late as well. You are forgiven, my son.
I
my
don't
child.
forgive you.
Quinn is never late. Every time. By the way, I do the
Early is on time is late. Late is not an option.
I do the live streams. I do the presentations for these live streams, both on my channel and Quinn's channel. And when I'm doing it on my live stream, I'm really lackadaisical. But when Quinn is streaming it, I'm like working my ass off to get it off in time, because I'm like, Quinn does his live streams like on the dot, because he's weird.
I am a recovering marching band kid, so punctuality is important to me.
Marching band kid. That sounds very American to me.
I played the flute.
Of course you played the flute.
I mean, still play the flute.
I can't play a single instrument, so I'm no one to take.
Also, the saxophone for a while.
Ooh, you're a saxy boy, are you? I like that.
Always.
Maybe you can give us a little rendition of something on the live stream. You should come up with like the intro, like before the live stream begins, like a little. What was that? That's like a guitar. Sorry.
I thought you were saying like play the Game of Thrones intro on the sax, which would not be.
Hey, you could do.
Pretty.
You could do. Who says you can't? Don't listen to anyone who says you can't. Okay, thank you for the super chat from Greg Harris, who says, great stream yesterday and sending more good vibes for tonight's stream. Goose is not greasy anymore. Love you, dads. Goose is not greasy anymore. What does that mean? Am I missing some context here?
That was a reference to last episode when Damon like woke up in the middle of dinner and he was talking about like Simon was saying, I'm sorry the goose is so greasy or something.
Oh, yes. Or is it a reference to season 1 where they're talking about Laenor and Rhaenyra are talking about some people like duck, some people like goose. Maybe Rhaenyra is learning that she likes both.
Yeah.
But yeah, have fun with us, dads, while you
so.
still can before we divorce. Thank you for the super chat from Tyr the Cruel, who says, Sea Smoke just being a silly little guy, casually pranking Stefan. That was a little prank video we saw. That was a social experiment.
Gone wrong.
It is quite funny that he's like, okay, then jump on my back, fine. Psych, I will murder you.
I can't believe you didn't like, I've done it.
I just thought it was lame. I just thought it was like the classic.
It was excellent.
It's the classic line to signal to the audience that they haven't done it. And I was like, oh, we didn't need that. We didn't need that.
I was okay with that in this context.
He was being he's being goofy as fuck this episode, Sea Smoke. He's a goofy dragon. He's got a goofy name too. I do like how half the dragon names are like badass Valyrian names and the other half are like deviant.
Vermithor.
Then there's like Dreamfire. It's like someone's Pokemon OC. Thank you for the super chat from Kelly Johnson, who says, Fantasy Haven, what gave you the courage to quit your job for YouTube? Some would call it courage. Some would call it lisdexamphetamine, but we don't need to go into that. Basically I quit my job because it wasn't going well. There was some mental health stuff going on, plus I was basically on maximum ADHD meds and it was affecting me badly. And I've always been a bit weird anyway because I'm neurodivergent. I'm ADHD, so I've never really had like a very conventional approach to life. And I kind of told myself, well, I've always wanted to be rich and I've always wanted to be famous and I kind of like YouTube. So why don't I become a big YouTuber? And I basically spent 12 months of 2023, which was a terrible month for me, working my arse off and quite literally grinding, as they say. And it's paid off. So hell yes, I would not encourage anyone here to quit your job if you want to do YouTube. Make sure you have a stable source of income. I happen to be incredibly lucky. Quinn is like getting ready to be the highest paid lawyer in America while also running a successful YouTube channel. So that's the American dream right there. That's the American dream.
This is actually really just a marketing ploy for when I am a lawyer. I'm just getting a client base via YouTube.
What is your plan when you become a lawyer and you're just like, you're running a fancy...
I haven't thought that far ahead.
Like, it's such a weird niche thing to have on the side.
Yeah, it is on my resume, so...
What happens
if you see somebody with a resume that says
what if people
that on it, you'll know it'll be me.
What if people dig up our live streams? Apologies for... I'm very interrupting. Apologies, guys. What if people dig up our live streams and then it's me saying some usual bullshit and then they guilt by association you and you get barred from every...
You know how sometimes I move you along from things and like kind of like pull you off the stage with a cane?
I set you up to do that though. Like I enjoy that.
Yeah, I know.
I enjoy being pulled by a cane. I don't know what that means. Okay, moving on. Thank you to Tyr the Cruel once again. Thank you so much for your second super chat, who says, after seeing Stormcloud, I have no clue why Jane was so mad. She has the most dangerous dragon defending her. Vhagar would tremble in his presence. Stormcloud versus Vhagar would be like would be like a bear fighting a duckling.
I mean, I get the duckling there. Ducks are vicious.
They can be vicious, bro, especially mama ducks. Also, Stormcloud is not technically the dragon that will be defending Jane. It will be Tyraxes, who we haven't seen yet, but is probably not much larger than Stormcloud herself. Himself, is Stormcloud a boy? I can't remember.
He's a boy.
He's a boy. Thank you for the super chat from Bravundus, who says Pokemon, but the Pokemon capture the humans. Yeah.
I was just playing Pokemon.
Were you playing Pokemon Sea Smoke? Pokemon Grey?
I was playing Pokemon Ultra Moon.
Ooh, I must confess, I know nothing about Pokemon. I know little and less about Pokemon, as Lord Celtigar
They were my first hyperfixation.
You know what my first hyperfixation was?
Hmm.
This is embarrassing. It was Digimon.
Oh,
for some bizarre reason, I grew up on the rip-off of Pokemon, like the cheap knockoff. Like, I had a book. I had like 3 Digimon episodes recorded on VHS, and I kept rewatching it, hoping there would be more every time I watched it, but there weren't. I had no idea what was going on. And I had a book of all the Digimon characters evolving, and I was like, I am so into this. My brain is being tickled right now. I don't know why I never got into Pokemon. I don't. Why did I even? Why was Digimon even a thing in the UK? I don't know what's. Anyway, moving on. Thank you for the super chat from. There's a lot of super chats today. Awesome. From Memento Mori, who says, me and my friends burst into laughter at the kiss. Yeah, it was kind of out of nowhere, in my opinion. It was kind of like, whoa, what? So I don't blame you there. I mean, bursting into laughter is one of the better things you can do. Other things you could do are review bomb the episode because you're a child, I guess. But thank you there. Also, Thank you for the super chat from Sassy D, who is also an awesome patron of mine, who says, first ever super chat because you guys are so awesome. Just wanted to hear you say, oh, hi, Sassy. Yes, hi, Sassy, indeed. Thank you for the super chat. You're incredible. And then I'll open up... what's it called? Streamlabs. I'll open up Streamlabs to see if we have any Streamlabs donations. Hopefully that won't crash the stream. I'll tell you what, Quinn, I'm quite enjoying the new strategy of leaving super chats to the end. You okay?
Streamlabs. I will say...
Huh?
This has confirmed the lag thing because you started lagging as soon as you opened Streamlabs.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're okay. So I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna open it just to look at the donations. Then I'm closing it immediately. Ridiculous! I have an SSD. I don't know why Streamlabs does this. Okay, I'm just gonna look at the donations. Okay, then I'll close it. Okay, we haven't got any donations, so there we go. We haven't got any. Okay, that's all good. Or maybe my Streamlabs is messing up. So let's let the lag disappear now. Let's feel the vibe, feel the flow. Are you with me, Quinn? Are you with me, Daddy?
I am with you in spirit. We do have one more super chat from Kelly Johnson. Fantasy Haven, how did you finance yourself for a whole year?
That's a good fucking question.
Other than the drug dealing.
It wasn't drug dealing, it was drug taking, my friend. Don't worry, it was all prescription. Lisdexamphetamine, Elvan's prescription. I didn't do anything illegal. How did I finance myself? I worked hard to get monetized, and then I set up a Patreon, and then I set up a merch store, and I also went deep into my overdraft, and I also had some family members helping me out. But I was very much spending most of the year on minus 900 in my bank account, living paycheck to paycheck. Violins in the chat, by the way. Send in your tiny violins while I
violence in the chat, people. Violence.
While I complain about the fact that I'm a successful YouTuber. We also got a super chat from someone who retracted their message.
I was gonna say I saw that and I saw it go away. They might have undone the suit. I didn't know you could do that.
Did they like a split second later?
I think they took the money back.
They're like, I've made a terrible mistake.
This will bankrupt me.
Haven got a small loan of $1 million. Yeah, it's my family helping me out, and mostly me surviving off of my overdraft, and also, just working hard. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's also kind of everyone's got that story, right? Everyone's got the whole dropped out of something to do something crazy, then it worked out. You only
article.
you only hear
Something
that
crazy.
you only hear that story from people who are actually successful and not the people who did it and
Yeah.
then fucked up. Sorry, I do keep interrupting you, Quinn. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh no, I made a dumb joke. I was gonna say that I don't know if I have any spoiler thoughts. I think I've said all my spoiler things in other streams and
Um,
other stuff. I think I just want to wait till
oh,
next week.
whoops! I didn't mean to click on the first
Do you
bit.
have anything?
I'm going through the slides to see if anything jumps out at me. So let me go.
I don't
back
have
to...
any spoiler thoughts.
Let me have a look. So okay, so first off, the whole golden tooth situation. We talked about this in our previous stream. Fish feed. Is it more evidence that fish feed is happening? Excuse me, sorry.
The lions, I think, are more evidence. Yes.
Because
You know, actually, I do. I have one prediction. I have one spoiler prediction.
Go on.
Which is that I think it's going to be kind of two battles. I think we're going to see the Battle of the Red Fork with Jason Lannister and the Lions and all of that going down. I think we're going to see Aemond and Kristen intervene with their army and help them win that battle, probably after Jason's demise. And then I think it's going to be intercut with the fall of King's Landing. Which will be mostly bloodless.
I'm inclined to agree. I actually think, yeah, I can see that. I think we might get a little balance.
Also, we have 4 more super chats.
We'll get to those after the spoiler section. This is a good day for super chats. By the way, everyone, if people have sent in Streamlab donations and it's just not showing for me, I promise I'll read them out at the start of next live stream. I always do that. If anything carries over, I do. Let me see. So, Sowing of the Seeds next episode, presumably we're going to be seeing Hugh Hammer and Ulf the White claiming Vermithor and Silverwing, respectively. Right, that's got to be next episode. And are we going to see the death of Lord Gorman Massey, who canonically gets chomped by a dragon?
I forgot about that, yeah. Also, Silver Dennis.
And Silver Dennis, who has been cast. So yeah, I think we are... Again, one thing I do want to bring up is how risky it is that, like, presumably a bunch of people are going to flee King's Landing and be like, hey, I'm a dragon seed, let me claim a dragon. Like, that's rife for, like, assassins to come in and be like, I am here to help you, and then try and kill her, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like the Greens would exploit that.
It'll be interesting to see.
For sure, because in the books, the dragon seeds are all from Dragonstone, right? Whereas in the show, the 2 of them are from King's Landing. And do you think we will see Rhaena claiming Sheep Stealer?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and we can talk about the whole Sheep Stealer, Nettles, Rhaena stuff next. Basically, after next episode, we need some time dedicated to that. In terms of the next time trailer showed all the River Lords in Harrenhal. You're sticking to your theory that we're going to see Will and Blackwood get executed by Daemon as a way of basically
100%.
placating the River Lords, who will likely unite behind Oscar, but Oscar's like, listen, for them to support me and therefore support you, you're going to have to make up for your ill deeds. And then that almost acts as a sacrifice to the Weirwood Tree, etc. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then, anything else? Anything else from that next time trailer you remembered?
No. I think I'm just going to do the super chats.
Okay, super chat. And then also, just on screen, shameless plug, I will shout out the fact that, speaking of grinding, I do in fact have merch. And it's t-shirts, it's hoodies, it's a beanie, and also some mugs. The mugs are my favourite. And so here's a Late Lord Haven mug on screen if you're interested. The quality's quite good. Trust me, I bought all of my own merch to make sure the quality was good, and it was good. But it means that I didn't make a profit for quite a while because I spent all my money on my own fucking merch. But yes, let's finish off the super chats, shall we? Let me get them up super quickly. Before we wrap up the live stream and talk about what our plans are in terms of videos for the upcoming weeks. Thank you for the super chat from Sassy D once again, who says, this is an actual question for Quinn. What type of law are you studying?
Oh, that's a good question. So, in terms of like law school generally, I'm not studying any specific kind of law, but in terms of what I'd like to get into, there are a few areas that are interesting to me. I was a teacher before I went to law school, briefly, and education's just always been something I'm very passionate about. I thought that maybe something to do with education could be good, representing teachers, students, schools, or even working in like educational policy or something. But outside of that, there are a lot of areas that I found at least somewhat interesting in both working this past summer and in learning about them in 1L. So hopefully I'll figure that out more as I continue along.
Oh, are you finished?
Yep.
I'm just jealous because you're gonna get an actual like super high paying job, and I'm gonna be making cartoons. So I'm super proud of you. Can't wait for you to get that, to become Saul Goodman.
I'm not counting my chickens. I need to finish law school and pass the bar.
I want you to be the kind of I want you to really have like the sleazy, like colorful suits and the like shitty,
That's an option.
the shitty ads in front of green screen like Saul Goodman.
Call Quinn to win.
Cool Quinn to win. Are you kidding me? Did you just come up with that?
I've had that locked and loaded for years.
You've been
buddy.
cooking with that one. I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for the super chat from Raphael McCormick, who says, "Does Sea Smoke hate white men? And with the removal of Nettles,
Who doesn't?
how will the end of Daemon and Rhaenyra's relationship play out?" Sea Smoke does seem to be a bit racist. Unfortunately, he's got a type. No, it's fine. Some people got a type. He likes black men. That's okay. Some people like black men. And with the removal of Nettles, how will the end? Okay, so I want to talk more about this next live stream, but I will say inevitably the ending of Daemon and Rhaenyra's relationship, the whole, Rhaenyra being paranoid and distrusting the remaining dragon seeds, and Daemon having his whole kind of "I'm too old for this shit," etc., or telling Daemon to arrest Nettles. All that stuff will probably play out differently. Personally, I'm glad because I never liked that plot point in the first place. But again, we'll dive into that way more when we review the next episode together. But yeah, thank you for the super chat again from Kelly Johnson, who says, "Fancy Haven, do you think the Fire Mage will join Dany?" Which fire mage? Oh,
I don't know who that is.
Mokoro, who's with Victarion, maybe.
Oh, Danny, we're talking about a Song of Ice and Fire. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, as in Mokoro will be the Red Priest who's like pushing her as Azor Ahai, presumably, right?
Yes.
With Victarion as the fiery hand.
He's with Victarion.
Thank you for the super chat from Auric. Well, why am I getting so many super chats this live stream, man? What the hell?
Jesus.
It's you. It's because of you. You've brought the charm, Quinn. Thank you for the super chat from Oryx, who says, "Lots of Daeron and Otto foreshadowing. Maybe a late cast short intro that the council in teaser is reacting to. It'll parallel the Dragon Seeds plot." Sorry, I need to reread that. I think I read that weirdly. Maybe a late cast short intro that the council in the teaser is...
Okay.
What does that mean exactly? Am I going...
So like saying that maybe like towards the end of the season we'll get like one scene with Otto and Daeron as sort of a teaser?
Yes, okay. My brain just... my wires crossed and I went a bit... My brain farted there. Yeah, no, I fully understand what you mean. I don't think so. I don't think we will, only for the reasons Quinn gave, which is that it would be weird if they cast like a teenager for one scene and then like 2 years later in the next season he's all going to be grown up. I think it makes sense to keep cast him for next season, right? Also, him being announced as 16 completely blows out of the water all of those stupid so-called leaks about so-and-so, this actor with dark brown hair has been cast as Daeron, and it's like a 25-year-old. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Something to bring up. The fact that Aemon's calling for Otto, but there are no responses from Otto, and no one's heard of him, as in heard what's happening to him, that's really interesting. That implies that, because it makes no sense that Otto would, like, return to King's Landing. Like, it'll be dumb if he leaves and comes back. So clearly he's like, screw that, I'm throwing in my lot with Daeron, which is really... season 3. Are you kidding me?
I'm excited.
Thank you for the super chat from Jojo1229, who sends a horrifying sticker of a pear thing that says, "How's it going?" It's going great, Jojo. I love you very much. See, Quinn, this is the thing. You have to ask for super chats and then they come. Ask and ye shall receive. Never. Don't be humble with it. Be an asshole. Be like a prick who's like, "Give me money," and then it happens. I will try. He doesn't need the money. He's a criminal lawyer. Thank you for the super chat from Black Eyed Lily, who says, "Spoiler, I don't see Stormcloud carrying Aegon anytime soon." That's a good point, yeah, that in the back of the gullet, Aegon has to ride Stormcloud. Clearly that's not going to happen, so they must be changing some things around. Again, I don't mind them changing gullet things around, because I don't give a fuck about the Battle of the Gullet. I really dislike it. So yeah, sure. Bran, thank you for the super chat from Bran, who asks, "Have you two met in person yet?" No, I've never been to America. I'd love to one day. Maybe go to...
He knows he'd never go back.
Exactly. I'd love to go to like a Game of Thrones con or meet up with fans or Patreon or whatever. Obviously I'd like to meet you in real life at some point, Quinn. I think that's kind of inevitable, but it'll have to be based on money.
I'm actually not a real person.
Are you AI?
I'm a collection of 4 different people, actually.
Who are they? Name them.
No.
Preston
Their names
Jacobs.
are Oscar, Kermit, Grover, and Elmo.
Just for that Kermit drop, I'm going to read the next super chat in a Kermit voice. Thank you for the super chat from Jake McGillen. Now, will the show have time for Hugh and... Oh, that's not a good Kermit. That came out wrong. Will the show have time for Hugh and off the sat to get the Dragonstone and claim dragons this season? A bit better. It's kind of flailing. Let me do it normally. Will the show have time for Hugh and off the sot to get to Dragonstone and claim dragons this season? Hugh still has the wife and daughter. Do you want to answer this one?
Yeah, we see in the next time trailer what looks to be both Hugh and it seems to be his family getting in a rowboat and seemingly heading for Dragonstone. So, seems like it. If I had to guess, that'll be early next episode, and then we'll get about halfway through and we'll see them claiming the dragons.
Yeah, not me answering every single question and not letting Quinn talk. I'm a selfish beast.
What?
I'm a selfish beast. Yeah. I agree with that. I
will probably have to hop off by around 9, but
yes, I mean, feel free to hop off whenever you want, Quinn. You don't have to.
I'll stick around as long as I can.
Yeah. Because if super chats are still coming in, I want to answer them all. But if you need to leave at any point, go ahead. It's my stream. Don't worry. You don't have to worry about that. Yes. Yeah. I kind of thought we'd have a sort of wife and daughter death this episode. So maybe Hugh is taking his...
I thought the daughter was going to die this episode.
Yeah. Maybe they go to Tumbleton and he's like, you go to Tumbleton to safety because we know Tumbleton is super safe, right? And then I will go to Dragonstone and I will try and claim this dragon and fight against the regime that has been so shit. Or maybe the daughter... I bet start of next episode, daughter dies, wife goes to Tumbleton. Did I say Tumblestone? Wife goes to Tumbleton and Hugh goes to... Yeah. Thank you for the super chat from Kelly Johnson, who says the fire mage from Karth that made fiery ladder. What, in A Clash of Kings, the one like mage? Oh, why? I
don't see Dany going back to Karth.
God, no. Please, no. Please, no. People... Dany, considering how popular she is, like, she's got some bad fucking plot lines. Everything in Clash sucks, apart from the House of the Undying. Everything in Dance sucks. She's literally... That only leaves two... Oh, go on, defend Meereen and Dance.
I will not hear any Dany and Dance slander.
Ridiculous. The only books...
It's a great plotline.
The only good Dany plot lines are A Game of Thrones and A Storm of Swords. That's it. And Season 8 of Game of Thrones, obviously. Thank you for the super chat from Jojo, who sends another pair that says cool. Thank you. You're cool. You're a cool pair, my friend. And thank you for the super chat from Tyr the Cruel. This looks like the last super chat we have received so far. Who says, spoiler, how did Stormcloud survive long enough to carry Aegon? Didn't the book say Stormcloud was shot through the neck with some sort of arrow?
You're getting your dragons mixed up. Tyr, I like your name. I think that's a D&D reference. The dragon that gets shot through the neck with an arrow is Jace's dragon, Vermax, not Stormcloud. Stormcloud takes wounds on the way back, but that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Quinn. And then the final super chat, we have another one from Kelly Johnson, who says, but her dragons amp his magic so he might join her.
Think how tall his ladder could be.
Yo, he'd get the top of that greasy pole. My goodness.
Top of the high tower.
I mean, maybe, who knows, she's getting a assorted collection of just psychos and misfits, so sure, why not? Why not a fire mage randomly joining her and her coming across as even more crazy to the people of Westeros? Maybe, that'd be cute, that'd be fun.
All right, well, I think it's that. What's the thought?
I think it's time to wrap up the live stream. Do you tell us what your plans are for the future of Quinn the GM on YouTube.com?
Yes, I will have a new video out. It will probably be out, I would say, Thursday or Friday, depending on how quickly I work on it. I'm very excited about it. I'm going to talk about how George Martin writes disability and how that factors into Larys and a bunch of other characters, and how he's written in House of the Dragon. I'm really excited for it. It's, I don't know, partial and just kind of, I don't know, providing theories and facts, but it's going to have a bit of, like, I don't know, my thoughts, my analysis, and a bit of my own experience as well, which is kind of unfamiliar for me in a video. So I hope you'll join me for that. You can subscribe to my channel. I assume the link is in the description. If not, you can just search Quinn the GM. And yeah, thank you for having me. We'll be streaming on my channel next week, so I hope you catch us there.
Boom, we certainly will. Well, we'll be on both of our channels in terms of predictions
Oh,
and
true.
post-episode. So yeah, every Monday, post-episode discussions. Every Sunday, episode prediction discussions. Just subscribe to both of us. Check out our channel. See what order we're doing stuff in. We kind of mix it up a bit. On my channel, obviously I do weekly quickie reviews. I should clarify, weekly reviews, nice and quick. And the last main animated video I'm working on for the Hot D era, because I've done Real Viserys, Real Rhaenys, Real Blood and Cheese, History of House Bracken versus House Blackwood. I always mess that one up. I'm working on the History of House Arryn in honour of the sexy Jane Arryn. So yes, that'll be lots of fun. All the way from Sir Artis Arryn, the Wigan Knight, to Sweet Robin himself, going into the Winds of Winter. So that'll be lots of fun. And if you want to join the Patreon, feel free. We have exclusive videos, art commissions, exclusive live streams, History of House Dane, all that good stuff. I've been doing this for like a year. I've been plugging for a year, and I don't have a plug script yet. I just ramble what I have. Anyway, in terms of Hot D, on the Discord, on the Patreon Discord, we do episode watch-alongs and A Song of Ice and Fire Jeopardy. We do Patreon live streams. We do all kind of fun stuff. You've heard this a million times. None of you give a shit. Shall we end the stream, Mr. Quinn?
I think we shall.
Oh, and follow us both on X. We occasionally
Twitter.
post
But
memes. This is the man who said Twitter was going to collapse like several months ago, and I said, of course it's not. And guess what? It hasn't. So I think I am.
It might have been better if it had collapsed, but it is Twitter.
The world would be better if it had collapsed a decade ago, if we're being honest.
This is fair.
I think, yeah. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.
All right. Bye.
Love you all. Bye. Oh, yeah. I